Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. However you happen to be watching and or listening to this, I want to welcome you to another episode of the Gaming Circle podcast. The podcast where we're super excited this week because, man, you might as well put an eye patch on me. I think I have put together the Avengers of the gaming community this week, but we're going to get into it. As you can see, we're not all quite here just yet. We're going to situate. Oh, I see the man, the co-host is joining us as well. He's jumping in, of course, always fashionably late. Always fashionably. But we're going to get him in here. Let me see what I can do here. But first and foremost, let me introduce the guests that I currently have on the screen while I get my man Infinite my co-host in here. First and foremost, let's welcome back our returning champions. First, we have the man who, if this was like a, the olds, for those who know, if this was the A team, he'd be face. But it's quite ironic I say so because you never get to see his face. All you get are the dulcet tones. You know what I'm talking about? Mr. Infinite Umbra is in here with us. Good morning, Infinite Umbra. How you doing this morning, sir?
Good morning, brothers. Yeah, good morning, chat. I'm good. I'm happy to be here with such esteemed gentlemen. Chopping it up on this fine Saturday morning.
Absolutely.
It's crazy. I've been gaming, man. So I was up crazy late into the morning yesterday. So I'm kind of tired, but I'm going to push through because this is worthwhile conversation and worthwhile company right here.
Yes, sir. We're going to get into it. Now, I suspect we'll be able to shake you of your tiredness, sir. Yes. We'll shake you of your tiredness. Now, of course, my other guest, and of course, we are all talking about, we're stretching the whole analogy of the Avengers. We were just talking about the A team. So if we were still going down the A team, I guess my next guest would be Mr. T, because I pitied a fool who gets in his crosshairs on Twitter and or even in our chat for bringing some false information. He will set you straight.
Oh man! If you didn't say just something, I was gonna say it anyway. I pitied the fool daily.
We call him the law master on this show. Pixel G, the OG. How you doing, sir? Welcome to the show. How you been?
I am well, sir. I am well this morning. I am happy to be on the show with these illustrious guests. You know what I'm saying? I'm finally on the show with my brother Infinite Umbra. You know what I'm saying? I see him on his chat all the time.
No doubt.
It's gonna be a good day today. Let's get it going.
Absolutely. And you know what? We will actually might as well bring in the slanderous one. Huh? Like on the Twitter streets, he is known as the Al Bundy of this game, handing out free shoes left and right. What a philanthropist, right? But on this show, he is the slanderous one, Mr. EverbornSaga. He joins us as well. How you doing, sir?
What's happening?
Oh, and you're cutting in and out. There you go.
Uh-oh.
You had a little bit Mikey situation. You sound good.
This is why you should come early, folks. This is why you don't come late to the podcast, because you could sort out these audio issues.
Shall I mute him? I should mute him right now. Shouldn't I?
Wait a minute. Tell me how I sound.
You sound good, man. You sound good. Yeah, you sound good.
I'm not cutting out anymore.
You are not cutting out anymore. You're good.
Okay, perfect. Now, listen. First of all, shout out to Pixelbit G first and foremost. We got to have this gentleman on more often. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why he only comes once in a while. We should have him more. He's always in the chat. But Mr. Infinite Umbra, you and I have some words for you, sir. Because I heard you.
Oh Lord!
This
is great.
This
is great.
Fish, two fish. You thought you was gonna get away, but now you're here. And here's the thing. And I called Kay Asante right after that. You see, if you would have just said you had a conspiracy theory, I'd have been right on board. But you used the one fish, two fish analogy. And the one fish, two fish analogy is to signify someone who is using big words but don't know what they mean.
Oh boy. See, he's not even hating you. He's
They're
not
not
hating
as
on you
smart as
because
they think
because
they
of the he's not hating on you because of the way you were speaking. It's the fact that you made him feel like he wasn't smart, which is not true.
That's what it is. You made me feel inferior, so I have
That's
to
right.
strike
You
back.
did.
Oh
No,
Lord,
you know
that was
what's all
hilarious.
love. You know
That was
what's all love.
hilarious,
Right on my brother Boom's show.
bro.
Damn
Bro, I heard that.
I sing your praises, you and K's praises all the time. You are two of the most intelligent brothers I know. I understand that whenever you talk about this ABK situation, I would be fooled, think you all might be the lawyers or something like that. So
Ladies and gentlemen,
it's all a good fun.
If you have not checked out Boom's latest episode, please do yourself a favor and do so, because man, between him and his new co-host, which we'll get into that. I'll let you speak a little bit about that coming up right here, Umbra. Between him and his co-host on this show, it was hilarious. Y'all had me on the floor. It was great. It was absolutely great. Absolutely. So yes.
Oh, by the way, before we
guys.
get started, I just want to
yeah.
talk about the latest free shoes that I gave out.
Oh, okay. Please go ahead, do that while I'm correcting some things.
You know, there seems to be this thing going on where people seem to think that they're exempt from being labeled as a zealot just because the corporation that they worship and love doesn't make as much money as another corporation, right? If you're still simping for a corporation just because they're $100 billion corporation, does not mean that you are being objective. Doesn't mean that you care about the health of the industry. You're still worshiping a corporate overlord. And everything you do and say, this does not give you some sort of moral high ground to pretend like you're not a fan like everybody else. Right? And we see a lot of that, and I'm sure we'll talk about it, but I just wanted to set the tone of the show. You're still a simp.
Oh boy.
And we
All
see
right.
it. Just because you have a blog
Let me get me started on
doesn't
that.
make you better than a YouTuber when you're worshiping a corporation. Okay? Right? We're giving more credence to fanboying in text than we do over video. That's what's happening. But a fanboy is a fanboy. And how about we just say we're all fans? You can have your favorites, you can have your desired outcomes, but let's not pretend that you're being objective, especially if you're pointing the finger at other people.
Mr. EverbornSaga ate some Wheaties this morning. He's out here. Did you sleep last night? It seems like you've been awake.
I didn't try to bed this morning. That's the Everborn I like to see. Let's do it. That's my guy right there.
Fantastic.
I think my slander against him had him hyped a little bit. That's what it was.
That's it. This is blame Umbra. Umbra had me covered in here hot.
Well, okay. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We are missing one guest right now, but time permitting, he might be able to join us. Pixel 3-bit said he might be able to join us, but of course, life happens. There might be he might still be busy with a few things. He did let me know that ahead of time, so shout out to him. Hopefully he can join us. If not, we will definitely have him on another show. But let's get into this. First and foremost, thank you guys so much. Already 62 folks in here, and we just started with the ridiculousness. Thank you guys for being here. Please, if you have a chance to hit that like button, tell them folks we out here, right? Go ahead and put it on social media. Let folks know we starting to get crazy in here. But of course, we will start this show as we always do. Now, let me see if and of course, I have been changing all this stuff around. So hopefully all this will continue to work. Let's start this show as we always do with some games that we have been playing, ladies and gentlemen. Since we have a full boat, we have a full show, we have a lot of people, we have a lot of guests in the spot. So we're going to keep it tight as far as keeping the conversation rolling and keeping all the conversations and so many different topics we want to get into. In addition to, I really want to talk a bit more about Unreal Engine 5, and that was actually the initial cause for putting together the Avengers. So we'll hopefully have some time to get into that, right? But I will set some folks up right now so y'all know. Since we have so many folks in the chat, I'll be reading the chat. I'll be interfacing with you guys. If you don't see me respond to you, please go ahead and put a thing in the chat. Put question, address it to me. I'll make sure I try and answer it. Obviously, if you do put a super chat, you don't have to, but if you do put a super chat, I'll make sure I prioritize that because you spend your hard-earned money on communicating with us. We of course want to want to make sure we adhere to that. And of course, on that note, we then of course get our first super chat of the day. Thank you so much. We have Randy G in here with a $5 super chat saying a lot of people don't understand that you can have bias and still be objective and intellectually honest. With that said,
what we try to do every
have a
week,
great
man.
show. Thank you, sir. We appreciate you being here and dropping the good knowledge. I see you have had your Wheaties this morning too, sir, which is good, So, all right, let's talk about some games that we have been playing. Let's get into that because there's a lot of topics to discuss. I will, for a short moment, there's just more super chats rolling in here, man. This is going to be one of them shows. I will, for a moment, acknowledge all the wonderful, great community members that are in here. Mr. Joanna Dark was in here early. He's still in here. Shout out to you, good sir. Of course, we have Live Supremacy. We have Iron Mike. Loke7 is in here. Salute to you, sir. Greetings to you. We will definitely be having you back. I want to have him back on the show because that man has also some really great takes, and he and I can get a little slanderous on a Saturday morning. This is good. But
every time I see Loke and him with his tie and stuff on,
yeah.
I feel like he's gonna be like, "Why are you running?"
hey now.
What's up, Lo?
I appreciate my African brother. It is what it is. Let's go. He has some great takes and he knows what he's talking about. Very good knowledge in the industry. It's very cool. So I will definitely be planning on having him back on here. Of course, the man himself, Jeremy Mack, is also in here. Good morning, sir. We appreciate you being here. And is that Buck? I say it's Buck. Buck in here with a $5 super chat. Thank you. He says, tired of extremists January 6th insurrectionist slander at Xbox fans who claim they are not biased. Oh Lord. Oh,
that's the worst part about it, right? It's always the people talking about, oh, this kind of language is problematic. Why are you comparing the FTC to this, and why are you calling people corrupt? Well, you're gonna call an entire fan base like national terrorists? That's what we're doing. And we should look at you.
We're gonna keep it PG-13 this morning.
Okay,
we're gonna keep it PG-13. Yes.
Let me drink some water.
Drink your water. Hydrate, sir. Hydrate.
Let me calm down.
So since I want to hear what everybody else has been playing, but let me start off real quick, just off the top. You will see some of the games that I have been playing on the screen as we go along for my audio listeners. First and foremost, you're seeing Guilty Gear Strive on the screen right now. I played a little bit of that this week. Actually, beautiful game. Had some issues in the beginning, but man, it's a beautiful, beautiful game. Like the art style just begs timelessness. It's really, really good. What you're looking at right now is their story. I didn't know that the story. See, Reggie Lee's already being slanderous in here. I am not going to say what you're saying there, but I acknowledge you, sir. I see what you're saying. Anyway,
one of my favorite. Yeah.
So yes, I'll talk a bit more about Guilty Gear Strive as we go along. I played Hogwarts this week. I seem to keep playing Hogwarts. I played Resident Evil, the demo. You might see some of the demo footage on the screen.
I skipped that demo because I'm already day one. So
okay, yeah.
That's like watching a long MCU.
Sure. Like for me, I'm always half and half because ever since RE7 and that VR experience, I've kind of been done with RE for a while. But I did try. This is more like an action game with like a little bit of scary here and there. But I found it interesting. We'll talk about that.
I just want to know if Capcom's going to remake RE5 so we can boycott and riot.
Give them more smoke about the ridiculousness that was the African representation, but that's neither here nor there. All right, let's keep it moving. Also, I played a bit of Will of the Wisps because Mr. EverbornSaga kind of put that back on my radar, so we'll talk about that. And finally, I played Wolong because, dang it, I needed to beat them bosses to prove to myself that the game card is still well in hand, and it is in hand. I even beat Lubu or whatever his name is. Took me a while, but I beat his ass. Right? I beat him, and after I beat him, I was like, I'm done with this game. I'm not going to finish it. I still don't like it. It's too difficult, but I did it anyway. So there you go. Before we get to some of the gentlemen, what games they have been playing, I see Mr. Joanna Dark in here leaving a $5 super chat. Thank you again, sir. He says, hello, gentlemen. Happy Mario Day. Too bad nobody has Happy Blue Rat Day, a.k.a. Sonic. Damn, wow. Right, Everborn? Low. Right. Mario's better than Sonic. Wow. Okay. The slander is off and crackling. All right.
Don't let me start with the Chris Pratt as
Lord.
as Mario voice. See, the Sonic fans spoke up and they
Uh-huh.
got listened to when they changed the design.
Uh-huh.
Nobody likes Chris Pratt as Mario, but they said F you guys because we don't care. So we're just gonna leave it at that for now.
He does have a point on that one. All right, we'll move swiftly along. Let me start with you, Infinite Umbra. You out here playing these games. I see you playing these games. What games you been playing this week, man?
I have been on a bit of everything. Much like you, I played Guilty Gear Strive. It's very interesting. The art style of it is beautiful, like the cell shaded style and everything. Looks animated and all of that. So it's a little different for me. This is my first time actually playing any Guilty Gear. So I have to get used to that. I like some of the mechanics of it. It's classic as any other fighting game. I played a bit of Dragon's Dogma, Dark Horizon, and Halo Infinite Season 3. Loving it. Some things I noticed though. I think it had a glitch in it where it reset my settings. So I was getting murdered, I think, at an alarming rate where I shouldn't have, and teabagged. But unfortunately, and I had played Gotham Knights, and I played a bit of Wolong, and like you said, it is difficult. I have to get it back in. It's one of those games you got to kind of be in a mood to play Wolong for me.
You got to be a masochist. I'm sorry. You got to be a masochist to love that game.
A little bit.
You just gotta, and I have these controllers, and I love my controllers. And I'm just like, it's either the controller or me, and I'm not breaking this controller. Right? So I'm gonna
it's
move
gonna
on.
Be you? Well, it's gonna be me. It ain't gonna be me.
You know what I'm saying?
I was Everborn. I just saw somebody, by the way, mention in the chat. They said Everborn needs a Everborn Shoes podcast, and I see also that was from Chio Walker, and also Reggie Lee said that free shoes. Why don't you all have a free shoes segment in here where you kind of drop some bars, some knowledge?
Bro, every week we have a new one. We're just adding it in. I
think we're gonna transition the show to just segments.
Yeah, because everyone has great ideas for segments. You know, and of course we said we'd have the full boat, and it looks like we might actually have that. Let me get this man in here. This is amazing. Thank you so much for being here. But please, Umbra, continue on what games you've been playing. I'll get him in here. Go ahead.
Yeah, but Wolong, Gotham Knights, Halo Infinite, Dragon's Dogma, and like you, Guilty Gear Strive. And I have to get touched through and I beat Hogwarts Legacy. I beat it already, but I had to play through it, through all the classes to get the other achievements. So I played through other houses and everything. So I got all of that. That game is done, wrapped up. I had to put at least 100 hours in it total.
Wow.
And I loved every minute of it. It's my
that
game of the
is
year
amazing.
So far.
That game is seriously amazing. It's a special experience. Absolutely.
And you know what's the most beautiful thing about it is Unreal Engine.
Oh my God. We're gonna get into that, man. We're gonna get into that. Stop the ridiculousness. We're gonna get into that. Relax yourself, sir. Relax yourself.
Stop the homogeny of game engine.
Let's go. We're gonna talk about it.
Same thing with the same physics.
We're gonna talk about
effects.
But
quick, everyone, slander Sonic in the chat.
Pixelbit G, sir.
Trying to get me off
what games have you been playing this week before we start getting into that Unreal slander?
Oh man, I've been mostly frauding this week. I'm struggling my time through Hogwarts. I put a little time Infinite, like maybe like 1 or 2 matches just to check it out a little bit, but I really haven't had time. And then I think that undisputed boxing.
Yeah, how is that? I think I saw you playing that. How is it?
It's a good boxing game. I mean, it's more technical than the boxing games that we're used to from EA, like back in the days and stuff, like Fight Night. But so it's like there's a learning curve. So I'm in the process of understanding the learning curve of it. But it's pretty good. I mean, they got to add in the campaign. Like there's missing features still, but it's a work for a game that is a work in progress. It really is a pretty good start. Like I said, I'm still working my way through Hogwarts. It's such a massive game, but and part of me doesn't really want to beat it, like doesn't want to finish it. You know what I'm saying? I'm probably like at 90% of it, so I'll probably close it out this week. But it's a great game. And then I also played some the Guilty Gear Strive. Though I think I may have already had it for PS5 previously. I'm not sure though. But Or maybe it may have been one of the other Guilty Gears. But Strive is pretty dope. You know what I'm saying? They got some really ill fighting mechanics with it. So I'm learning the concepts in that game as well now. So I haven't had as much time this week to game as I was hoping. I was hoping I was going to get a lot of time in yesterday because I took the day off. But I wound up being commissioned by my son to build him a ship in Minecraft.
Oh, and, okay. Okay. Well, when they ask, you got to show up.
Not easy to build a ship in Minecraft in the water.
Yes. Have you seen people's videos of building like the Enterprise in Minecraft? I'm like, you people have too much time on your hands.
Yeah, they're amazingly skilled. I am not that skilled in Minecraft, but we do it for the little guys. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I've been at.
Absolutely. And you know what? Let me welcome in the final chair. Now, you weren't here for all the ridiculous analogies I was making, so I'm going to throw one at you as well. Joining us, if you see the beards in the room, the olds, we call him the new class, the young blood, if you will. The first time on the show, and we are super excited to have you here, developer, Mr. 3-Bit. How you doing, sir? Good to have you here.
Doing pretty good. How are you guys?
Oh, it's great. It's great. We assembled the gaming Avengers on this show. There's so many people in here right now, and the chat is lively. They're enjoying it. Oh wow. Okay, we see. There's a lot of people like getting really bad in the chat. Look at Loco over here talking Sonic sucks over and over and over and over.
Hey,
wow.
There will be no Sonic slander while I'm here.
Ban him now.
See, he had to do that because Everborn was dissing Unreal Engine.
Oh man! Come on now! We're not starting that right now. But while you're here, 3-Bit, let me ask you then: what games have you been playing this week? Have you been busy? How's things going with you?
Yeah, it's been a pretty busy week, but I'm right now. I'm game hopping, so
okay. You're
I'm
grazing like the rest of us.
Trying Hogwarts. I was playing Sea of Thieves with some of my coworkers. That was really fun. And I'm about to jump into Sons of the Forest. You guys heard about that one?
Yeah. Mr. Joanna Dark has been trying to get me to jump in there. He's been really talking it up really big. Okay. How is it? It's like it's a survival game, right?
Yeah, it's a survival game. Pretty much. You have your resources, and you can do this story if you want. It feels like it can be a horde game at times. Like these weird creatures can try to like come at you and kill you. It's really fun. I'm not normally a PC player. It's been a while since I've gotten back to like the PC realm. I'm usually just primarily on Xbox, but it's a good time.
Awesome. Mr. EverbornSaga, are you around? I don't see you here. Oh, he is still here. Fantastic. How about you regale us with some games that you have been playing this week, sir? I know you've been getting into it. Go ahead, yes.
In my epic journey of trying not to play Hogwarts Legacy,
you'll come back to it, sir.
Hopping around.
I guarantee you'll come back. But let's go. Go ahead.
I've been hopping around from game to game, and as soon as I found an annoyance with one of these games, I have hopped away from it. So I played a little bit of Wolong. I'm terrible at it. And
here's where I'd make that excuse of keyboard and seat or controller and seat. But no, that game is just really, really difficult. I'm gonna let that one slide. Oh, that game is
right. So what? Again, people. I heard Rand call it the easiest Souls game, which I think is a damn lie. From the pits of hell. Elden Ring allows you to play the way that you want, whereas Wolong wants you to play a very specific way. And if you don't understand that parry mechanic, you're done, right?
Yeah, there's no way you're making it.
And I just have not been able to get it, right? I don't know what it is. It's like it is maybe it's the explanation. Maybe somebody just has to show me. But this idea that instead of like pressing the button as you're about to get attacked, you have to hold the button with a direction and then press the button again to do this thing, and it's too much. My carpal tunnel doesn't align with my carpal tunnel, so I just can't do it. So that was that game, and then
welcome to the Olds podcast for the Olds. It is what it is.
You already know my journey with Atomic Heart, and then I, and just because I knew we were talking about this, and I said, let me go and get into some of my Unity projects. So I started playing the Ariel's Adventure game that is like in dev or whatever. And then I said, let me try Ori, because Ori actually does a lot of, and you know this if you've played the
I am
Ariel's
stunned,
Adventure
sir.
game.
Stunned that you like this was on your backlog. What? Stunned.
Okay,
sir.
let me finish.
Ori's amazing.
Yes, Rand. Look at Rand in the chat.
I think Ori came out during Everborn's gaming hiatus.
Man,
it did.
Yeah.
It stuns me.
He has a legitimate excuse, because I was the one, but I was like,
So let's real quick. Let me address some super chats, because we have a few of them in here. We have Max City Entertainment with a $2 super chat saying, "Lulu is champion. ABK deal is so close. Cry, Jim. Cry." Thank you, sir, for being here. I appreciate the good message. And of course, we have the man with the million, friend of the show, Mr. Randall Thor 19 here with a $5 super chat. He said, "I heard my name being said, and I am right. Wolong is by far the easiest Souls-like I've ever played so far." Wow.
Wrong.
Okay, then. See, again, the Olds podcast. These carpal tunnel hands ain't going for it, but that's neither here nor there, sir.
That was one good one you missed above K.
Oh, I missed one.
We got to get Rand back on here soon.
Please acknowledge the one I missed. I don't want to miss any of them.
He says, Kikumo says, Umbra spitting fire about their free shoes.
Of
segment.
course, that's the one Umbra recognized.
Well, look, why he's on this show.
It highlights both of us. You see
this is why he's on this show. The slander just flies pretty easily. I understand. And and by the way, I also see the Xbox expansion pass in here. Thank you so much. I see Aaron in here. Thank you so much. Punty 505. Like so many great people in here. Thank you guys so much for being here. Everborn, I'm sorry. Please continue.
Yeah, so I think Wulong was asking too much, at least of me, but you are also talking to somebody who has not been able to, I have not been able to, I just gave up on it, Returnal, because I didn't feel like it respected my time. So it's entirely possible that I'm just not that good, but I did beat Elden Ring, so I can't be that bad. Now, that being said, so I found my way back to Ori. Right, and the reason I said I found my way back, if you've played the Ariel's Adventure game, and I know a few of you have, a lot of the elements are similar, way more polished, obviously, in Ori. But then I said, well, I started with Will of the Wisp, and I'm like, I never finished Blind Forest, so because Kei Asante shamed me
went
into
backwards, man. That's weird.
So now I've gone back to Blind Forest, which I'm like 70% of the way through. Will of the Wisp is so much better. You
Absolutely.
can see, like, it almost makes Blind Forest feel like a bad game, right? That's how much better.
And that's why I told you not to go backwards. They elevated,
but it was too late. I was 20% into Will of the Wisp when you told me to go back, and now it feels like a chore to go back and play Ori and the Blind Forest. But like, phenomenal games. I wouldn't call it the best 2D platformer, but it is the best looking 2D game maybe ever if you look at Will of the Wisps. And I heard the studio head for Moon Studios is kind of a D-bag.
But isn't that how it usually works? Isn't that how it usually works? The artists who have the most creativity and the most talent tend to not necessarily be the best humans. You know, it is what it is. But we like his game, though.
What does it say about my art that I'm a good human? Unless I'm not a good human.
Well, maybe by the time you hit that prolific mass, then you'll turn into a D-bag. Who knows, man? Something happens. But anyway,
I have no problem getting rich and Switch. That's what.
There you
go.
What
we call it.
You didn't sell out.
Peon talking to us. That's what.
You didn't sell out. You brought in, right?
As soon as Everborn makes it, who was this peon talking to me? It's Kei Asante, bro. You do a show with me.
No, I will only do that to the Sonic slanderer.
Oh wow,
Mr. Joanna Dark and Slow Mo whenever he gets here. And maybe Rand too, but I haven't heard Rand say a lot about Sonic these days. So
don't start that. That is gonna turn into the Sonic hate podcast if you start that stuff. Don't do that.
Noise. No.
Okay. No. Continue.
But so I'm playing Ori right now. And again, if you've played, you just played it, but right, what they ask you to do in the first Ori, is like, I don't know. It's just way more difficult than Will of the Wisps.
God,
you have a lot less options, and you have to do a lot more with it.
I think Will of the Wisps felt like a much harder game to me.
Yes, it was a harder game. Yes,
I beat the original Ori twice. Like it was an easy game.
Really? I don't know. It's just like
there's so much to the tool set in that game that you almost like if you leave it for a couple of months and you forget everything.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Again,
the gameplay you're seeing is me playing recently after being gone for a while, and it took me a while to acclimate. Absolutely true.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yep. This is Will of the Wisp we're looking at.
Yeah, this is Will of the Wisp.
Yeah, it's Will of the Wisp. But I think this is the harder game.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Blind Forest, the only really hard part of Blind Forest is that last part when you're being asked to like escape the tree while water's coming out.
Yes.
That you'll have to go through over and over and over. That's the hardest part. The rest is just more Metroidvania. Please go ahead. Go ahead.
Have you guys beat Blind Forest and or Will of the Wisps without dying?
No.
Hell no.
I don't have time to do
I'm not even trying to get that achievement.
Through that.
Ain't nobody got no time for that. Look at that meme.
Absolutely not.
Well, I did. I wanted to rub that in your face.
Of course you did, because you play these games. Go ahead.
I did everything in Death's Door except for that one where they were like, you have to beat the game like only using the feather instead of the sword or something like that. It's some weird as shit. Like I never go for those achievements. Yeah, I can't do it. But anyway, I say all that to say, look at Randon, the man with the million. I got the no death achievement, easy peasy.
Yes, sir.
That's not even a humble brag. That's just a brag.
It's just a brag.
And then he happened to also drop Sonic. I never heard of her.
Now you just got yourself on the list, Rand. So for me, I don't know. Again, there's a lot of similar elements where it's like now playing this, I'm probably gonna have to change up Ariel's adventure because people are gonna say it's too similar here. But I don't know. I just found this one to be not what you're playing. I'm saying Blind Forest. I find it to be way more difficult. But I'm 70% into Blind Forest and I'm 20% into Will of the Wisps. So maybe Will of the Wisps gets more difficult. I don't know. Maybe that's what you guys.
I loved Will of the Wisps more. It just had way more tools. Like Pixel was saying, even though it's a harder game and you have far more challenges, like you have a tool set. You have lots at your disposal. And it seemed to me that Blind Forest, they just started you off of that same like very specific kind of tool set. You knew what you had from jump. You didn't really get too much more before the end of the game, and you had to like do a lot with it. So I actually think Blind Forest is a bit more of a difficult game. But no, tell me your experience. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, my question is, in terms of Metroidvanias, though, I don't think Ori beats Hollow Knight. And what do you guys think on this?
That's a tough comparison.
Obviously, Ori is again the most beautiful.
Yeah, visually it beats it.
In terms of beauty, for sure.
But
absolutely,
level design, game mechanics, I think I would lean towards Hollow Knight. What do you guys think?
I kind of get what you're saying, but I kind of get why you would say that, and I can see that. They're both dope Metroidvanias though, so I love them both. It's kind of hard to really pick one or the other, but I will say I didn't think Hollow Knight was a masterpiece. I think both Ori games are masterpieces.
I think they both have different visions for their gameplay. Also, like Ori is how do you even describe Ori? Ori and Hollow Knight, I don't know. They're just like they have different ways of going about their gameplay. That Hollow Knight feels more like the traditional, almost like a classic game. Like when Hollow Knight came out, I was like, man, this is kind of like a classic, and it just came out. And Ori is more of like a story, like you're going through it. It does have different mechanics that they introduce throughout the game and stuff, but I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I never actually beat Hollow
Hollow Knight.
Hollow Knight.
I never beat. To be fair, I never beat Hollow Knight. So
yeah, I never beat Hollow Knight, and I really didn't get into it.
Beating Hollow Knight is an event. I think it's like 40, 50 hours or something.
Hollow Knight is.
I didn't beat it.
The bosses they throw at you is crazy, bro. Like they really go hard in that game. Yes.
But you beat Ori, right?
Oh yeah, both of them.
Yeah, I beat Ori. But so the Metrovania type game that I would probably look at to compare it to would be Shadow Complex instead.
Oh, the man pulls the classic. Oh,
That's
I
one
love
of
that
the
game.
best, non-Metroidvania games ever made.
Classic.
Do you remember Shadow Complex?
Of course.
I still haven't beat that actually. I need to go
play
back
that
to
like a few times a year. It is amazing. Like it is just
Was that
amazing.
Epic?
Yes.
It was
Epic.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it was under their other like side developer. What they called it? Something Chair or something.
Yeah. Chair. Now you're gonna make me look it up. They give it
I'll
away for
look it
free
up.
on the Epic Game Store. Actually, if anybody ever wants to play it on the deck or something like that, it's free. It is a great game.
has arrived in the chat. Look at this. Look at this guy.
He says, "Morning, esteemed gentlemen and Everborn."
You see. Now, one other thing is Celeste, which is not a Metroidvania, but I feel like they did something super interesting in that game.
Yep.
Have you guys played Celeste? Have you beat it? Played it?
I haven't beaten it. Haven't beaten it, but I have played it. Yeah, I've played it.
I highly recommend it. I feel it's a 2D platformer. It's basically about climbing a mountain, and there's a bunch of obstacles.
Like God of War style. In a way.
but it's weird because it's almost like there are levels, but they're not really levels, and like dying doesn't really matter. It's more about getting to the top. It's just one of the first.
I think it serves as an analogy. Like it's about your anxiety and how you're dealing with it while you're traversing it. There are certain parts where you stop and you speak to people you meet on the way to the top, and the introspective conversations. It's really like a self-reflective kind of thing. But while
is it more abstract? Because when I was thinking about God of War, I was thinking about like how he has to climb up the mountain to spread the ashes of whatever. This is more like
if you ever saw the art and I'm gonna make an Ouya pull, and of course Mr. Joanna Dark is gonna lose his mind. There was one game that lived on the Ouya that lived beyond the Ouya. I forget the name of the game, to the point where it actually was playable. People, they ported it to other games as well. It has that pixel style art, and it's about traversal, like fast traversal. Sometimes there is a ghost of yourself following you, and sometimes it comes after you and you have to run away from yourself. And it is fast paced, and you gotta, like, there's so much to it. It's something you definitely need to play. It's very difficult, but people who play it love it. I see people in the chat already saying, Missing No, I appreciate you being here. She's saying it's absolutely amazing. I agree with you. I was never able to finish it because it was just, whoa.
Yeah, no, I just appreciate it because like a lot of people think like, okay, this is what a 2D platform is going to be. It's either going to be a Mario style jump on their head or a Metroidvania. And I just feel like that was a way to kind of redefine what a 2D platformer could be. So it was super interesting, a genre that is this old that someone could find a new take on it, right? And I like 30 years I hadn't seen a 2D platformer that was kind of designed in that way. So I just wanted to shout that out. Yeah. Last thing I want to move on to another game that I got back into yesterday. And this is probably because I got shamed by the publishers. There's a big update out for Streets of Rage 4, which is a game that I got to the end solo.
Excellent.
And I have never been able to beat it.
And he asked me if I wanted to play it with him, and I was like, yeah, man, we can play together. And he goes, have you beat it already? I'm like, yep. He goes, all right, never mind then. You beat it by yourself? I'm like, uh-huh. He goes, no, don't worry about it. I'll beat my... And he's never.
Well, I want to beat the game solo before I do any co-op. Like that's what's going on. So I could have called in for help, but I didn't. And so when they announced the update,
funny part of it is though, had I said I had not beaten it, he probably would have taken my help. But since I said I beat it,
No, I think you're
Yes, you
embellishing on
did.
the state of
Yes,
events.
you did.
Anyway, the point is, so someone tagged me in their tweet saying that there's a major Streets of Rage 4 update out. I was like, oh snap,
Yeah.
time for me to jump back in. And I said, fun fact, I actually never beat the last boss. And then Dot Moto or Dematu, I don't know how you
the developer account.
They were like, oh wow, really? Okay. Like I'm like, Jesus Christ.
With the eyes, like whatever, dude.
Like they were super surprised by this.
They slandered you, I'm saying.
But I do want to, as a slander aside, I want to take the moment to say that they actually might be my favorite developer, publishers, whatever they are. Right? They're 3 for 3. I want you to think about this. They did Wonder Boy Dragon's Trap.
Yep.
Right? They remade that game. I don't know if you remember when that came out.
Yeah. I think 2 years ago.
And then they followed that up with Streets of Rage 4. And then after that, they did the new Turtles game.
TMNT.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah.
These guys are wizards.
They can't miss.
They
take that old nostalgia and they make you remember how great
X-Men
it was.
next.
Oh, I would love that.
Children of the Atom. Oh, that'd be amazing.
Or Avengers. I'll take them doing that too.
Yeah.
Yep. That'd be awesome.
No, but like everything they do now, like they're right there. There might be my current. If you're in the old school games, they know how to bring them back and make them work in today's world. So,
keep
your eye out on them. My eye is on them. Like aside from the fact that they shamed me, and
that's why we like them around here. They shamed you. And they did it in the best possible way. It was hilarious. Anyway,
I like that they add all of this free content. By the way, I have to give them
absolutely. No, they literally are like amazing and wizards. Oh, Joanna Dark says they should make Golden Axe. He's right.
Oh, that would be a good one.
Yup, absolutely. They definitely should make Golden Axe. Somebody call Sega. Like, what are we doing here? Come on now. Oh,
they already worked with Sega for Streets of Rage 4. It could happen.
I see. We missed the super chat.
Says they should do Final Fight.
I will be behind it.
We missed the super chat, but I don't understand it. Maybe Johnny Sins with a Canadian 279. He says, "Did y'all hear about Special Nick? I think Special Nick is what he's saying. Boxing a kangaroo."
I keep hearing about this. What is this about?
What?
Boxing a kangaroo. I gotta speak to him about.
He boxed a kangaroo.
I didn't hear about that.
Interesting. I will talk to him about that for sure. Oh, and of course. Yeah, see, back to that conversation, or Double Dragons. They need to make Double Dragons.
Dragon for sure.
I would go back into my 12-year-old bag and just sit there and just be like this all day, just playing. I used to play those games like to death. Even Double Dragon with Battletoads. I don't know if y'all played that one. Like there was the crossover one.
Super hard.
Absolutely. Super hard. Yes, but okay. Fantastic. There's so many games that we have been playing, and we want to keep it moving. We're almost an hour in. We're not trying to do a 3-hour podcast, ladies and gentlemen, or actually 4 in this case, because we could potentially make that happen. So I think we should move on to some games from the games to some of the stories of the week.
We got a super chat.
Oh, do we now? Oh, before we get there, of course.
I deserve all the smoke. I know. I got to the end. It's just that the last boss is 2 people and you have to beat it. It's very difficult to do by yourself. I don't want to hear anybody who did this on co-op
Kikumo
come to me about why
with a £2 super chat saying being shamed for not beating it is deserved.
Can say something, Pixel. Not listen to anybody else.
I also beat it by myself. Just want to throw it out there.
Hey, man. Look, it is what it is. I tried to help the man over the finish line. He just wasn't trying to hear it because I had already beaten the game. So
yeah, he wrote you off. I will say it is kind of a tough game, though.
No doubt.
Tough game. I like it though.
No doubt. Absolutely. But all right, let us switch to some of the stories of the week. First and foremost, let's start with this Rocksteady Suicide Squad stuff. We're starting light.
Now everybody's in the chat saying they beat it solo.
You see? Let's put Everborn where he belongs. At the kiddie pool.
If you beat it solo, y'all. Put a 1 in the chat.
Put a 1 in the chat if you beat it solo. That's right. If you beat it solo, put a 1 in the chat. We want to see how bad we should make him feel. Oh, there you go. It started.
You should do a poll like, is it difficult or is Everborn trash?
Well, no. Since you said
I know
that,
how
no,
it's gonna
that's not
go,
easy.
but
What difficulty did you play it on, Everborn? Was it hard?
I play everything on normal.
Yeah, me too.
Whatever the default.
Okay.
He played on Don't Hurt Me.
The only game where I will play it, I will change the difficulty is Halo, because they've always said that they've always wanted you to go more heroic. So I'll start on normal and then move up. But by and large, any game I play, I will play it on the default setting of where the
Same
developer set it. Yeah. But okay, as we know, we here on this show have talked about Rocksteady and how prolific they are and how much we love their games. And then, of course, we saw Suicide Squad come out, and we kind of gave them the side eye a little bit. I, for one, was a little bit, and maybe it's a situation of me bringing what I was expecting to the next version of their games, and them not meeting what I was hoping for, which is more my problem, clearly. But it came out, and clearly a lot of folks felt kind of the same way I did, because it didn't receive that much good reception online. Now the latest and greatest about it is they are delaying the game following the showcase criticism. Now, an aside to that, and then I will throw it to you first, Pixelbit G. An aside to that is we heard later from Jeffy Grubb himself that they're talking about potentially delaying this thing for quite some time, like 2024 delay. What are your thoughts, sir?
They probably should delay it to not make it.
God damn.
Wow. Okay.
They should delay it and rename it to Justice League Kills the Suicide Squad, so you can play as people you actually care about.
You know what? The messed up thing about it is they have those characters. I wouldn't mind playing a game with those characters, provided I was playing them with the power sets that they were built for, right?
Yes.
So you take a bunch of characters like what's that? King Shark with a gun. Word.
Yeah.
That's what we doing.
Yeah. A shark that's got a big mouth that could eat people. No, he'll just grab a gun and shoot you.
Yeah, the guy, he's like a physical force of nature. You're like, give him a gun. It's like the Hulk with a gun, right? It don't make a lot of sense. So, when I saw the gameplay, I'm like, it looks like a generic game that they just slapped the DC IP over the top of. I was like, oh yeah, have at it. It doesn't make any sense. So. I'm not really surprised about the reception it got. It's one of those things that you look at and you're like, this is not on my radar. And I'm sure what they got back was nobody wants this game. Right? So
yeah, Harley Quinn jumping around all over the place. That was it for me. I was like, even Batman doesn't have such traversal. Like what are we doing here? And then she has a drone that follows her everywhere. First and foremost, when I first saw that, I was like, oh my god, did they fall into that Batman that Spider-Man trap where she can stick to things that don't stick? And then I look up and they have a drone that's literally just like wherever she happens to be, the drone is there ready to handle her weight. I'm like, somebody actually saw that and thought about it and went, this is how we'll make it work, but it's still really dumb. I'm sorry.
and the funny thing is, if you remove those 4 characters and you could leave it at the same IP, even have the same goal. Let the person make their own character if you're gonna do something like that, right? Because it looks fun,
yes,
right? But the minute you add these specific characters who comic fans know what these characters are supposed to do, you have a problem. So maybe. I don't know if they have the stones to do something like this. But just let the player make their little own fake villain to take on the Justice League or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But it just doesn't work with those particular characters because it's like that they're not behaving the way you would expect them to behave. Yeah. So.
But you will agree though that if they had released that game as it was released, it would have been fun. It looks fun. But it looks shallow a bit in its fun. Am I wrong?
But it's like, it looks shallow, but it's like, I guess a lot of people complain about King Shark in a Superman outfit, right? Right? If that was any other character that you made, you might not really feel a way about it, right? But it's there. Even though it looks fun because of the way they presented it, it's going to be hard for it to pick up an audience, right? And I think. They have to know that that's going to be a problem. So, hey.
3-Bit, what are your thoughts, sir?
My bad. I was talking about this last night on Xbox. I'm not sure how common it is for a game to like pull a Sonic the Hedgehog sort of situation, like the movie, where they listen to feedback and like okay, we'll go back and check on this. I did work at UB And one of the things that would frustrate me is that early feedback from developers can be seen as nuisances sometimes, and they find out what we say in internal testing is what the public is also saying. They're like, oh yeah, which is what happened with a couple of Ubisoft games. When I saw the game, it wasn't what I was expecting out of Rocksteady, and I feel like that was what a lot of people was like, okay. Like, it looks like it could be a fun time. It's just what wasn't a lot of people what they were expecting. I think that the people who have single-handedly saved the superhero genre for games is Rocksteady, in a lot of ways.
Creating that fighting system that everyone apes, even Hogwarts Legacy apes that fighting system to this very day, to like fascinating levels. It's absolute. That's why I'm kind of disappointed with them. Exactly to your point, they set a bar, and now it's like they're not meeting their own bar, unfortunately.
Not only that, they're messing it up 2 times in a row, right? Because they kind of strayed the path with Gotham Knights, which still maintains some of the original flavor of the Batman games, but also has this weird traversal system going on. But
it just hurts a little bit,
right?
Because like I was expecting, like, if you're gonna have a superhero game like this, and we're basing off your past portfolio, then have maybe Harley Quinn. She like has really good combos with that bat. Have King Shark being able to get in there, and maybe he like slices people with his nails, or I don't know. Like being able to still have that combo system, but just use their unique characteristics. But it's like kind of like a shooter, and you kind of shoot at like these purple things.
It's a purple blob shooter. Absolutely. I was like, this whole thing, no matter where you go, all you're doing is shooting purple blobs. Everborn, we were saying.
I don't know what's going on, right? Like, how do we get to? And I know they just had a lot of success with Hogwarts, so that's awesome for WB Games. But like, you're gonna have Rocksteady, and who made Gotham Knights?
Different team, not the same team.
I know it's a different team, but
that was the I forgot the name of. I think it's Montreal.
Yeah,
and they made Origins.
Yeah, and I loved
which
Origins.
I loved.
Yes.
Which I loved. Yeah.
But so who in the decision making, and this would be sometime 5 to 7 years ago, like or more, like they'll just say, hey, we want to do things in the DC universe, and both of these projects are going to take us 5 to 8 years to deliver, and they're both going to be basically 4-player co-op with characters that people don't necessarily care about. Like, what I understand you're doing one of them, right? But why would you have both of them lean in this direction?
Yeah.
It's very strange to me.
It must be the same kind of help Square make their decisions.
Oh boy, talk about Square. I trashed
the Square sales projections analyst.
the Hollywood
one and the same, right? So you have this ultra popular IP that is designed in a way that people expect, right? That has this great fighting system and all this stuff, and you're like, nah, let's just go with this over the top fake Fortnite looking crap or whatever crap they're making now. So
so it is unfortunate.
Again, right?
That's the biggest problem for me.
Go ahead.
You have like again, right? My issue is not in any one of them specifically, but 2 of them, right? Like there's 2 games, both are focusing on characters that aren't as like popular as their mainstay.
Yeah.
Where you could have said, well, one, we're going to try to build up these. Listen, they're side characters and they're villains. That's what they are, right? You might love Harley Quinn, but they're side characters and villains.
You don't even have to pause instead of when you say it. They are legitimate side characters.
Yes.
Right? So
that's the whole idea of the Suicide
Squad. One game
Squad.
that's focusing on those side characters, but shouldn't the other one be with characters you care about? Right? Like one should have been a Batman game if the other was going to be Suicide Squad, or the other one should have been a Justice League game if one was going to be Batman's lackeys. That's what they are.
Can you imagine
Right?
imagine if they'd made the Justice League game, right? And how the downfall and how Brainiac takes over them, and then the other game becomes how you kill them and get Brainiac gone. That would have been awesome, almost like a dual album, if you will. One team makes how they became the way they became, and the other one would make you what you're looking at now. People would have accepted that more.
That requires some really good forethought, right?
Yeah, well, that seems to be the DC versus Marvel thing that they keep falling
Marvel
themselves
these
into.
days isn't making.
Well, we're not going there.
That's
Anyway,
let's say Marvel prior to with his phase forward now.
Mm-hmm.
This is horrible phase right now.
Yeah. Marvel when they had the table well pointed out.
I think the downfall of the MCU. I'm not saying like the MCU is fine, but the state of the MCU is all because of the way they treated the Hulk. I think that was a lagging indicator.
He's just here for that.
You think it was a ripple effect?
Yes, and they deserve everything they get. And until they do the Hulk justice, the MCU will never be what it was. I said it. I'm saying it again, and I stand on it. And you can clip this. You want to fix the MCU? Start with the Hulk. But anyway,
put a rook on him like off Color Purple. Everything you do.
I'll put a hex on you. But so the other thing is. Just like looking out, right? Like we know how Zaslav gets down, and we know that WB wasn't sort of, at least at a time they were entertaining the idea of potentially selling off WB games. So if Gotham Knights did lackluster performance, and this seems like it's not hitting with audience, I don't know how much you could change this, based on. Like, it's weird that they're saying they're pushing it back because of fan reaction. Because I don't think that
how are you gonna fix
like
that
the audience is
next
going to
year?
change on it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So even if you push it back to next year, what could you do? So that being said, if this game doesn't hit, is Hogwarts enough to convince Zaslav that they should keep this gaming studio, this gaming publisher, WB Games?
I mean, that's an interesting question that. I don't know if we'll be able to figure that out now, because Zaslav is very penny pinching, right? Very penny pinching. Like we've seen his work in the movie space right now and TV show space right now. So, absolutely, I find that a very interesting place where we find ourselves. And they do say that Mortal Kombat is coming. That may also be very telling as to where they go. I mean, in Boone I trust, but if it comes out and it looks like short shrift has been given or budgets have been cut, that may be the death knell. We don't know.
It's hard to mess up Mortal Kombat, at least
that's true.
With the tier that NetherRealms has been on. I mean, they, when it comes to the fighting game space, they've been putting out bangers for a long time now.
So real quick, Kikumu.
Speaking of fighting
games, 1 second, please. We have another $2 super chat, a £2 super chat. Forgive me, from Kikumu, who is agreeing with you, Everborn, saying. The Hulk was violated by the MCU. We need Planet Hulk. Absolutely.
We kind of got Planet Hulk a little bit.
Oh my God.
We got a fake version of it. They don't want to do. If they did a Planet Hulk, it is a they would basically reset the universe for Marvel, right? Because it's violent. It's right. It's not his attack is not a.
It won't fit into that formulaic cookie cutter.
You know what I
need these days?
I need Immortal Hulk.
Oh, even worse. You want to take it to the real
I
world?
don't know if they have the rights to the Hulk yet. I feel like that's why they
do.
Speaking of that, though, speaking of Universal, and maybe this is the OnTheReel Minute.
Okay.
Now, Bob Iger talked about potentially spinning out Hulu and selling it back to
Universal.
To Universal, well, selling their stake in it, right? So just so people understand, Hulu was a joint venture from the major movie publishers, which were WB, Fox, Disney, and Universal. So when Disney acquired Fox, they got their 30% stake. and because it was like 30% Disney, 30% Fox, 30% Universal, and 10% Warner Brothers. And when AT&T was trying to make money, they sold their 10% to Disney. Disney got the other 30% from the Fox acquisition, and then they entered into an agreement, since they had controlling share, that they would manage and run Hulu, and basically Universal would be like a silent partner until 2024, at which time they would have the option to purchase the remaining 30% from Universal. Yeah. Turns out now, with Disney losing a little bit of money and Universal continuing to be the thorn in the side, people get mad at Jim Ryan over this Activision deal. Universal is like herpes to Disney, man.
So before we continue this line, right? This man is just as hard he goes just as hard for the Hulk.
What are we doing?
He goes just as hard for the Hulk as he does for Sonic. Whoa, so just understand what we're talking about here, because this man will
going on?
You spend hours upon hours like regaling us with stories of vengefulness because of what they've done to the Hulk. It's as bad as Sonic. I'm sorry.
For the Hulk? The Immortal Hulk requires that he gets some respect. Okay.
But you and I both know they will never do that. They will never follow that cookie cutter formula and put the Hulk in there. They just won't do that. They won't do it.
So here's the thing, like, and this is why I say Immortal Hulk, because a lot of people will try to shout you down and say, no, Hulk can't be Hulk smash, mindless Hulk all the time. That's cool. Doesn't have to be that. If you've ever read Immortal Hulk, you know that Hulk is actually smart, but he's also menacing, and it's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and he is kind of like like Immortal Hulk almost moves like Batman, right? He it's this line where the moon is the sun is going down, and then Bruce is like the night is his time. You know what I'm saying? And then he will go around and like destroy people that have done like it starts out with somebody robbing a convenience store and a little girl getting killed and Bruce Banner getting shot in the head, and then Bruce Banner.
So now we've gone from
the morgue.
We've gone from the On the Real Minute to the On the Real Comic Minute. We need to keep it moving.
we could do this.
Let him cook. Let him cook.
We could do this too. So
5-hour podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Come on.
No, I'll be quick. I'll get through this. So Bruce Banner wakes up in the morgue, right? Because you can't kill him, and then that night, the Hulk.
I'm sorry. Hold on one second. You can kill him. He dies. You can't keep him dead. You can kill him.
Well, yeah, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. All right. Go ahead.
All right. So now the Hulk goes and finds the person who robbed, I think it was a gas station or a convenience store, goes and finds him, and then I don't think he killed him though, but he like broke all the bones in his body or whatever. The point is, he basically doles out justice like that, and you don't have to have a mindless Hulk in order to do the Hulk justice. That's all I'm trying to say. But anyway,
scariest version of Hulk I've ever seen.
Exactly.
He's scary.
So now, and that, by the way, that's what the Hulk used to be. Used to be like scary. But anyway, now in 2024, when Disney would have the option to purchase the rest of Hulu, Universal put up, they said if it's coming up, we want to buy it. And so now Bob Iger says that they will consider in 2024 whether to get rid of Hulu. And in doing so, they may trade Hulu along with a lot of money for the Hulk, or Hulu for the Hulk along with a lot of money. So they may get it back when they transfer Hulu to Universal.
Seriously?
I don't know if they would do that for the Hulk.
Just
no,
Hulk?
it's not for the Hulk. That's not what I'm saying. A lot of people
it'll be part of the bundle
that
headline,
they get, but it wouldn't be for the Hulk. It would just be
part of the contract,
part of that deal.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say
Universal would still have to pay them a lot of money, but they would pay them some portion less for the rights of the Hulk.
Interesting. Okay. Well, hold on. Before you continue, sir, let me just get a quick. Let me jump in here and read out this quick super chat. Oh, actually, yeah. See, there we go. Now we're having issues with our super chats here. I will read it out real quickly. This is Buck with $5 super chat. I'll put it on the screen in a minute when I get it working again. He says Microsoft should buy NetherRealm Studios, keep WB MK license for Xbox long term. WB gets cash, Xbox gets a studio for MK and Killer Instinct, and avoid the FTC. That is a very good
fun fact
thought, sir. Go ahead.
If they were to buy NetherRealm, and don't ask me how I know this, but I know this for a fact.
Yes.
NetherRealm would come with the Mortal Kombat IP.
They sure
because it did not originate as a movie, right? And so within the umbrella of Warner Brothers and WB Games, NetherRealm goes along with Midway. So that's like a package deal. And they're like a subsidiary, actually. So you could sell them, and they would still retain the rights to the
MK
Mortal
license.
Kombat. Yeah, maybe Warner Brothers would keep the film rights, but the game rights
would go with NetherRealm.
Yes.
Umbra, we're gonna close this out. Let you have the final word on this whole Rocksteady Suicide Squad ridiculousness. Are you surprised? Are you disappointed? Where was your initial thoughts on all of this?
Slightly surprised that they're talking about doing a delay because, like what was pointed out, Kay even says, like, what can you really do with such a short delay? They would need a whole year or more maybe to really do something really substantial.
Yeah.
I don't care for the way that they went with it. More than that, maybe. Yeah. I don't care for the way they did it. The thing that bothers me more so is, it's like you all pointed out, Kay. It's Rocksteady. It's like one of the premier superhero makers who redefine superhero games. And like you pointed out, so many games uses its system in fighting and such like that, even up to Hogwarts, Mad Max, Spider-Man, as was pointed out. I mean, all of us know this, and they give us this. It's disappointing. And it's 8 years they were working on this game. And remember, if you all don't remember, I think a lot of people forget that the rumor was they were making Justice League. I think they had to fall off of that, and they kind of fell back on this because of the popularity of Guardians of the Galaxy. And I think that was the wrong decision. And if 8 years is a long time, right? Because essentially at that point, Guardians was popping by the point when they were doing this and they made that decision. And it was like, this is the thing. This is what we need to ape. Now, Guardians is still beloved, don't get me wrong, but like, you didn't need to go that route. And I think I can safely say the grand majority of us would have preferred a Justice League game over a Suicide Squad game. I think I can safely say that.
Yeah.
So it's just disappointing that they went this route. And once we saw the gameplay and it looked like Fortnite meets Crackdown, it was like, nah.
Yeah. And there will be no slander of Crackdown. Crackdown was a great game.
It was.
But this was not the venue to. This was not the IP to reflect a Crackdown type game. I agree with you. Absolutely.
Exactly. And that's the thing I had the issue with. That what bothers me the most. It's just that I feel like they missed the obvious, which was just to go with the Justice League. And I think that would have been. I think it's more fits their station as the developer we've come to know and love them as. So I guess what they'll probably do is just move back some of the live service elements, I'm guessing. That's about all I can really point to, because I don't know what they can do that's substantial enough for the delay.
The floaty like traversal. I'm like, I wonder how you guys are going to traverse that, like fix that, because ideally that's the reason why some of us had some criticism for it. You know what I mean? It was just a little weird, but okay. Well, all right.
Spider-Gwen flying around,
it was a little odd, but let's hope these guys, let's be clear here. These guys are prolific. They set the standard. So if anybody can turn it around, I have faith that they can. We'll see how it goes down. I guess we'll see in 2024, maybe 2025. Who knows? Before we move on to the next story, I see Reverse World in here with a $5 super chat. Thank you so much. He says, Kay, how do you feel about certain podcasts calling Starfield's delay Halo Infinite-like and basically saying Xbox's future rests solely on Starfield? Sir, we will talk about that. Actually, I don't know if it's sir or ma'am, but we will talk about that soon. That's definitely on the docket to talk about. But thank you so much for the super chat. You will hear our thoughts on the Starfield delay. Well, it is a delay, but not technically because they didn't give you a date first. They said the first half, and now it's second half. We'll get there. But let's move on to another story, a small little story that I found interesting that I thought I'd get your opinions on. Have you guys seen Exoprimal shown off? I'm sure almost nobody watched the Capcom thing live. Did you watch it?
Yeah, I watched it.
And what did you think? We'll start with you, Umbra. What did you think of Exoprimal's gameplay and the fact that it's now Game Pass Day 1?
The Game Pass thing saved it for me because I had zero interest in this game before that. That is certain. The game still doesn't wow me. I will say it's not like, ooh, dinosaurs and such pouring out through little digital holes, whatever. No, the premise seems a little weird, but that's Japan for you. I like it. Kind of feels like it's a I don't know how to put it, something of an Anthem meets, I don't know, Jurassic Park.
I felt the same vibes. I got the Anthem vibes as well. Absolutely, speak on it. Yes,
which could be a bad omen, by the way.
Exoprimal. No, not Exoprimal. What's the name of the
that one where you fly around, sliding around by Platinum? What's the name of that game?
You talking about dang, I forgot the name too.
Vanquish. The game.
Vanquish. Yes, got a little Vanquish vibes in there as well. But yes, so I bring this story up, and I'll let the rest of you gentlemen also speak to it as well. I bring this up because, like, my initial viewing of the show of that trailer and the trailers before didn't necessarily wow me, and I kind of got, and please don't come for me. this is just my thoughts on it. I kind of got the vibes like this might be more detrimental than helpful to Game Pass. It kind of feeds that fodder narrative a little bit. Am I wrong? 3-bit, please. What do you think?
Is this? Oh, okay. Sorry.
Go ahead. No, please. Yeah.
I got the when I seen Exoprimal, it gave me that old school Capcom vibe, like Xbox 360.
360 sort of old school. Thing. Yes. It's just there for the co-op purposes. Yes.
Yeah. It kind of gave me those feels, but I don't know. Like I feel like so far Game Pass been hitting pretty good this year.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's gonna hit even more, so I don't think it's gonna hurt it, especially with the later releases of like Starfield and all that later in the year. But it's just one of those games where it's like you kind of judge it like some Japanese game, and then you play it, you're like, oh, it could be a good time. I'm on the same boat where I'm glad it's in Game Pass, because I don't think I would spend that money to try out a game like this, so it wouldn't take the risk, I guess. But the fact that it's in Game Pass, like, oh sure, I'll check it out. If I like it, then cool. If I don't, then
All right, man. Mr. EverbornSaga, what are your thoughts?
I think it's a very interesting question. So
see, and real quick, look at the graphics here, right? Like it was missing something for me. Like maybe it was shadows. There was just something when the gameplay actually starts. It feels a little half baked, and then you hear it's in Game Pass. I'm just like, oh, is this going to be another? Is this going to be another? What's the multiplayer shooter that came to die?
Outriders.
I said
is it going to be another one of those? What do you think?
I didn't hate Outriders.
Ultimately, Outriders came out to be very good, but in the beginning,
it
started a little rough, man. It started a little rough. What do you think?
So what I'm saying is, it's interesting you say that, right? Because it has to tell you that, like, okay, if you're Capcom and you didn't initially announce this game to be in Game Pass, that means like it's not tracking as well as you thought, and maybe you think you need
Plan
people
B.
to play it to understand what it is.
Yeah.
So it could be that it's not good, or it could just be that it's too hard.
People don't get it.
Right. And if you get it in people's hands, and then the people on Game Pass who really don't have a barrier to try it and like it, their word of mouth will drive sales on PlayStation and PC. right?
Yeah,
Which is great for Game Pass because it gives them something, you know, for us to play, and then it could be great for them. It's either that or the game's just not good, and they figured we're not going to make our money back on it. We don't want another Forspoken on our hands, so let's take the bag from Microsoft, and at least we're covered for the development cost.
Yeah,
for sure. And like there's been multiple
and there's nothing wrong with
that come out,
in my opinion.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. There's been multiple developers that has come out and essentially said like how Game Pass saved their game. We've seen several articles of saying like that with the Pentiment developer, I think that it gives them more creative freedom to try out different games with Game Pass. So it could be the thing that saves the game. I don't know. We'll see when it comes out how good of a game it is. Graphically, it doesn't impress me at all, but it maybe the gameplay is solid. So
this is Capcom. All I wanted was Dino Crisis. What do you think, bro? What happened to Dino Crisis?
They won't do it. They won't do it. It's like it seems like the common sense thing to do. It's like Square.
We'll do all the dinosaurs we want, but we just won't put the word crisis next to it. Forget about it.
Right. I feel like they might be still working on Dino Crisis in the background. But I got a question for you all. What happened to Exomecha?
Yeah, that's another one.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
I don't know where that game is. Yeah. The last thing I saw that game is they said that we need more time to polish it and look out for the next update, and there hasn't been a next update. So I don't know.
But it is coming from a very small team, and it seems like the game was designed to be mostly multiplayer. Well, yes, that too. But like when you look at everything it takes to go into kind of a service style game, you know, it's very difficult for a small team to manage that, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens there, but like, because remember, there's no real campaign for that. It's just like this multiplayer thing. So I don't know. I don't know what.
And that was back in 2022.
Yeah, it was some time back. So we're
real
hoping
quick,
to hear something from it. Go ahead.
Wasn't there a similar game that looked similar to this in?
Yeah, I'm trying to forget its name. It came in. It came in as it was an early title. It was what do you call it? What are they?
Wasn't Godfall, right?
No. Also dinosaurs.
I know what you're talking about.
Also like multiplayer dinosaurs.
Bugs or something. Yeah, right. It was dinosaurs, right?
Yep.
Chat, please keep us honest. What was the name of that game?
That game.
Yeah, like it's a game, multiplayer, shooter, bunch of dinosaurs coming at you. It was released as an early beta on Game Pass. People played it for a little while. It wasn't that great, and then people kind of moved off of it. So yeah, this gives me those vibes.
Second Extinction.
There you go.
That's it.
There you go.
Okay.
That's the one.
Huh? The young blood coming up with a good memory. Yes, thank you.
Let's go.
Basically, we've seen this game enter Game Pass and go nowhere before, right?
Yeah.
So wouldn't be surprised if it's going to be the same scenario here. The only hope that I have is that they can somehow channel their inner Lost Planet on this or something.
That's a good pull.
Capcom used to make this style of game, right?
Yeah.
Multiplayer with these enemies coming, so they have some background in it, right? Even though people look for Dino Crisis, I would probably look back to Lost Planet for what this gameplay could be like. If they manage to get that kind of flavor going, you never know. It might actually be a halfway decent game.
And while I'm on everyone's page that Game Pass has become a place where you can find really great titles, and last year they had $7,000 worth of games. This year they're tracking on doing even better than that, and the content is really awesome. As you can tell, everyone on this panel, our thoughts on this game isn't so glowing, and then it gets attached to the Game Pass label. So that's why I'm kind of like,
I'm not down with trying to promote the concept of Game Pass fodder, right? That is
okay. Speak on it.
Only talking point. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Talk about it.
Talk about it. I played on Game Pass last year that somebody would have claimed was fodder, right?
Sure.
Which is that
Vampire Survivors. Yes, sir. The greatest game ever.
This game that came out last year. I don't care what nobody say. It is.
I agree with you. Yes,
that was a
absolutely.
Great game. But if you look at it, you're like, oh, what is this, right? So games, the popularity of a game is going to be dependent on if it can grab its audience or not, right? So even though this group doesn't look at it and say, oh, this is something I want to play, there may be a group for it.
There may be a group for it, absolutely. Yes.
Right? If you look at, I remember that they were claiming Grounded was Game Pass fodder at one point, wasn't it?
That game is amazing. That game is amazing.
Is it fodder now? Is it fodder now, people?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
Right. No, it's
10 million players later.
Exactly. Well, but hey, but it's still here.
Yep.
Right? It's a lot of hot games that I know about that came in hot and fizzled fast.
Yeah.
Right?
No fart in the wind.
Right? Long list of those kind of games. I'm not gonna categorize them because we know what they are, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, I don't think we.
And most of them came from Square. No, I'm sorry.
Oh man, this man ate his Wheaties this morning. Woo! All right.
Square's current claim to fame is making games that don't meet expectations.
That's right. That's right. Ladies and gentlemen, guess what? We have hit an even higher benchmark than we hit last time. 160 folks in.
Okay, watching. But wait a minute. How many likes do we have?
We have 83 likes. Ladies and gentlemen, please hit that like button.
Sons of bees.
Wow.
Didn't hit like on the video.
Please hit that like button.
We gotta give him the train day speech, man. I'm gonna put
you gonna do this to me?
Oh Lord. Please consider hitting the like button if you like the show. These are some really high heights we're hitting. We appreciate y'all being here, and we'll climb even more.
I'm putting cases on everybody.
162, 167. It's amazing. We're just going higher and higher. We appreciate y'all for being here. Thank you guys so much. It's getting there. The numbers are getting there. But moving swiftly along, let us get into it because I want to hear what people think about the new Halo season. Now, I know there's some Halo fans in here. I know there might be some detractors in here. I will sit back with my popcorn, but before I do...
Wait, who's the Halo hater in here?
There ain't no Halo. I don't know about in here.
Out yourself.
Sure. Yeah, I don't know about in here. I'm talking about maybe in the chat.
Show yourself, coward.
Show yourself so that we may boo you. No.
I think he even
Slow-Mo has played more Halo Infinite than probably all of us.
Probably, yeah. Probably because the man he's out here. He always plays the multiplayer. I refuse
to play until we get more campaign stuff. But
this is where I was going, Mr. EverbornSaga. I will say, as much as I hear the story changing on Halo and the community changing their outlook on Halo, I am still a little salty because I am a single player gamer. By and large, I will try the multiplayer from time to time. I do, but I'm here for that single player experience, especially when we're talking about Master Chief. So I'm still a little salty that you're spending all this time and all this energy talking about, oh, this is a great new campaign, a great new season and all of that. They even have a few trailers that suggest some story, but we're not really getting any real story. It's more multiplayer, which by and large sounds and looks absolutely great. I will go to you first, Infinite Umbra, because I know you've been playing it recently. What are your thoughts, sir?
Can I be skipped for just this moment? I got an alarm going on.
Oh, no, please. Go ahead. All right. Well, then we'll move on to the Lore Master, Pixelbit G. Have you tried this yet?
I've only played a couple of matches on it so far. But, I mean, it looks good. It plays smoother. It looks good. I like that they've added a nice array of boards and the armors. The armor sets. The cores they got on this one is fire. Like
no more dusty Spartans. I see. I saw some really good armor out there.
They're looking clean out in them streets, right? The cut, So on the campaign side, right? The cut scenes for this are so well crafted.
But what do you mean campaign side? They actually have a campaign?
No, I mean it has the multiplayer, has a little mini story, right? But it is so well crafted. It kind of punches the campaign lovers in the throat, right?
This is what I'm talking about. It's making me upset, man.
Yeah. So like I'm not a huge multiplayer guy because I don't have time like that. So, but it looks like it's good. It looks like people are catching traction on it. People like it. So I plan to spend more time with it this weekend. But I think from this point forward, like every time a Halo multiplayer update comes out, is going to be a little reminder that we have no campaign.
We get no campaign. Like, but, I will stay salty.
Yeah.
Forgive me. I will stay salty until I see a proper, even in that same world. You know what? You want to make me happy? Give me the high value targets. Give me new high value targets in the same playground. Right?
Yeah.
Add a bit more story
to it. All they have to do, just add some more, in campaign missions.
Right?
But
yes.
We're not gonna.
But we're not getting that. They're basically saying, all right, all of you lovers of the campaign, you sit down, and we're just going to focus on the multiplayer people only because that we can sell season passes. Which, I'm sorry, I feel a little bit salty about it. We have Buck in here with another $2 super chat. Thank you, sir. So prolific. He is saying Call of Duty and Starfield ends the Game Pass fodder and ponies are shaking.
I don't think there ever was the Game Pass
fodder. Yeah, that narrative. Yeah, okay.
There was only people who don't
our
play
Hooved
games.
brothers came up with
right?
that.
Like
our Hooved brothers.
This is the craziest thing. Like, there's so many like high quality AA games and indie games in Game Pass, and even if, and this is not the case, but even if it was that your AAAs all came from Microsoft first party at some point, and everything else was high quality indies and very good AAs like Plague's Tale and things like that. So what? None of that's fodder, right? Like Vampire Survivor. Again, this is the kind of thing you want in the service, and if you only play the AAAs, that's what first party is, because obviously it's not economical for Take-Two to put GTA in Game Pass yet, and so they buy ZeniMax, they buy Activision, and that's where your big budget AAA stuff comes from on top of the Xbox first party stuff. And if the rest is AA and Vampire Survivor level stuff,
I'm
great
good with it. Yeah, me too.
So that
idea.
The whole fodder thing is people who probably only play popular games based on Metacritic, that are maybe Sad Dad Walking Simulator
of the Hooved variety.
Oh, stop it!
Right? So like, these are not people who are playing games. I don't.
Yeah. So okay,
chain echoes, right? Look at things like that.
Yeah. So let me.
I was going to say.
Go ahead. Yeah.
The alarm is off now. I was going to say I'm loving the new season.
So you got through robbing the bank?
Yeah, I'm finished now. I'm done.
Good. Getaway car now.
Getaway car.
So I'm loving the new event so far. I'm already at level 30. That could tell you already how much I've been into
the man
it.
playing these games. Go ahead, speak on it.
I love Halo, man. So it does my heart good to see that it kind of rebounded with this. I'm like you all though, where I prefer single player expansions and stuff like that, because like Pixel, I do love the lore too, right? A lot. So I would have preferred for them to actually have that, but they broke our hearts telling us we're not getting it. So what they have to do still is improve on certain things. The desync is a little iffy still. Oh man, they've improved it, but it's still a little iffy, because I saw myself being hit a few times where I didn't think I should have, and I saw other people complain about it. They go to police. Also,
the Halo Popo coming for you.
Right? You dare say that? And I will say too, the new DMR, now that they call it the Bandit rifle, I'm not a fan of it. So I'm not that big of a fan of it, but I do like the new maps are gorgeous, by the way. The new maps they've added are spectacular. Yeah. If you all get a chance, and we're gonna have a Halo community night tonight, by the way, everybody. If you all want to try to come through. So the new big team battle map, Oasis, spectacular, gorgeous. One of the best looking big team battle maps any Halo game has ever had. So I'll say this too. Level 30, like I said, I'm looking at through the cosmetics. They still have a ways to go, because there should be a way to switch the what's the word I'm looking for here? The skins that you would use for the armor. It should be more universal. That's the thing they still found themselves are trapped in. Like Pixel pointed out, the narrative events, they have 2 of them in here, and it does look really good. It looks, like campaign quality level good,
bro. But doesn't, like, every time I see one of those, it's like I'm looking at Apex Legends getting mad that I'll never get a Titanfall. Like, come on.
Yeah, it gives it a little taste, and it's like you ain't getting anything, though.
You know, like, come on.
Yeah.
Stop playing games with my
With
heart.
my.
I'm just saying.
All right, Kay, don't get me to start singing in here now.
Had to do it because Infinite Umbra's in here. Let's not go there. Okay.
You see, the show has devolved into a boy band. Let's go. Me and 3-Bit are gonna be the backup dancers, and Pixelbit is gonna be on the drums.
Y'all gonna be back there.
Stop
but
it. That's right. Let's go.
But yeah, the new Fractured event. Everything else is looking pretty solid. It's a step in the right direction for sure. That much is certain. And I don't just say that because I'm a massive Halo fan. I say that as a fact. I think that they're going to season 4 and beyond is going to be really, really good. And what they still have to add, of course, is a PvE kind of situation. Us not having the war
raids.
zone.
I would play multiplayer if they brought in raids on the campaign map.
Why not?
Running around.
That'd be perfect for it. I agree. But giving us Warzone, which they took away after 5, and giving us Firefight, which they took away, well, we never had actually since what? Reach was the last one, I think.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy that we haven't had that back yet. So they need to add that.
One last bit of conversation around this Halo talk, and since you guys have really played it in depth, you can either correct me or see what you think about it. There was a little bit of controversy from the jump, saying that the way they showed this season off, and it looks good and all that, they started incorporating more of the end user maps. You know, you had Sika Mechanical's map, and a few others were showcased. Artie's room and all this. But still, the way they made it look like it was part of the categories that you could just choose it, right? But it's actually not that case, right? You still have to do private maps, private games to be able to play those. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I didn't see the room one. They didn't put that in rotation, but there are some community.
Some of them are in the rotation standard now.
Yeah,
you don't have to do it. You don't have to play private maps. Okay,
awesome. Yeah,
awesome.
you can go right to it. They made a community tab for it. Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah, there's a community tab now. Yeah.
Okay, that's great.
And Sika Mechanical's map is in there too, by the way.
Yeah.
Tree bound, tree house, whatever one. I forgot the name of it though. But it's pretty dope. By the way, I played against him earlier. He killed me a few times.
He smoked you like a neck bone, I'm sure.
Yeah, he smoked me good. I get him though. I'll get him back.
Shout out to John from Xbox Era. Go ahead, babe.
If I can, like speaking to this season, and I'm with you guys on the campaign train. I was in the boat where I was like DeLalo for sure in the beginning. I'm a huge Halo fan. I used to play competitively. Used to play hours on end. This and I was really disappointed when they canceled the campaign co-op for local, right? Because I used to play Halo all the time with my dad and stuff, and he was like, "Oh, can we play that together?" I'm like, not really, because he doesn't have an Xbox, so you know that always sucked, and that will always sting a little bit. But this season, I think they are starting to turn things around, right? I'm liking the maps, like Oasis. Completely agree, that map is beautiful, and with the other maps too, like the like user created maps with Forge, like the Halo game nights have been like have been really fun lately.
Yeah, I hear that the quality of the community maps are just like astronomical. They're doing some amazing stuff. I saw like Stranger Things map, and I just like mouth agape, like so well done. It's amazing.
Stranger Things map, Toy Story map. There's a Waffle House, people fighting in a Waffle House. It's great. But to speak to, I think it was Everborn, or I don't know who was speaking on it, but basically the DLC maps, like you guys are wanting like campaign essentially. I'm thinking like whatever Creative Assembly, because we know they're working on a Halo. The BR was like the rumor thing, but maybe it could be BR and campaign
Certain Affinity,
that they're also working on. Is it Certain Affinity?
Certain Affinity, yeah.
The other. Okay.
Yeah,
so
Certain
bad.
Affinity.
Certain Assembly, I think, does the strategy stuff.
The strategy
Sega,
stuff.
right?
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. That is working on the BR mode. But who knows? It could be something big too. Because
we need to see that soon,
season
man.
we do. Each season they seem to be teasing something in the story. So I don't know. we'll see. We'll see if they do anything.
I want to jump back in, and of course we got great community nights coming up, so you might see me in there. But I am a Fairweather fan because I'm still salty that we have no single player campaigns moving us forward. That just hurts my heart. It continues to hurt my heart. It is what it is. But okay. Let me pause for a moment and say thank you guys so much for being here. We keep hitting new numbers. We are at 164 right now. So many people in here having a great conversation. Shout out to all you in the chat being respectful, being great, having great conversations with the rest of the community. Let us move on to a bit more of a hairy topic, a bit more of a... I saw this one and I had to put it on the docket because I, for one, was on here expounding on how great I thought the decision-making process was for Microsoft when they made their console hardware and some of the decisions they made as far as the storage was concerned, right? I stood on my square and I said, hey, it was a great decision. If you look at the technical aspects of it all, they made a different decision than Sony did, of course, because they wanted ease of usability. They didn't want people playing with NVMEs and plugging them in and all of this. So they went with a different interface than you would standard, right? So at the end of the day, the idea was it would start off, they were both the same expense, right? But of course, since that time, we have now seen that PC prices, by and large, have come down a lot. And with that, come the prices have dropped on standard NVMe drives as well. But of course, since Seagate is the only manufacturer of this specific kind of drive for Xbox, that price has gone nowhere. To the point where now the question is, was that decision actually a right decision, right? They didn't see that the prices were going to drop. And how do you see that 3 years out when you're building this hardware? They didn't see that was the potential eventuality of it. So while prices have stayed stagnant on their proprietary drive, right? Obviously prices have dropped for NVMe drives. And with the latest news here, I saw this message, this article from Jez Corden, shout out to him, friend of the show, and I had to talk about it with you gentlemen. What are your thoughts on where we are in the state of the console with that external drive? I use that all the time still. I go between my Series S in this office and my X in the living room when I have to have my Hogwarts fix. But yeah, I would have liked a 2 terabyte. That thing is like still overly expensive right now. I will start with you, 3-Bit. What do you think, sir? Like we are here where we are. The prices are still where they are. Was it still a good decision, or do they deserve some smoke for this?
I think it would have been a good decision if they followed through where other third-party developers could make the memory units as well, because they talked about like, yeah, we're going to open it up, but so far they haven't, because that would have probably evened down the price, because right now it is like sort of like a ease of use sort of situation. Like it's pretty easy, there's a lot of memes that you need like a builder to open up the PS5 and try to figure out how to put it in and stuff. So in terms of ease of use, you can just plug it in, like you were saying, you transfer it between the Series X and S without much problems. So in terms of that, it's pretty good, but they really need to open it up to other third parties, in my opinion, so the price goes down. We could get better, even more storage if possible. But PS5 is the better option right now for sure, until they do that. Because right now I'm speaking hyperbole, like what if they did it, and right now they haven't. So PlayStation 5 is the better memory option right now, bar none.
Absolutely. I agree with you. Now, Mr. EverbornSaga, I see you turning on your cam, so you got something to say about it. Myself, and if you remember, and shout out and rest in peace to him, and shout out to him, Optimus Code, if you recall, he and I had a back and forth about this exact conversation, and I saw this article and my brain just started laughing because I would hear the slander he would throw at me for where we ended up being. I still think it was a great design decision as far in a vacuum, as far as making it easy for folks to use, and you didn't even lose any speed in the matter because they supplemented it with software. But here we are, prices still won't go down, right? They didn't subsidize, so these prices are really high versus your standard NVMe, even PCIe 4th gen, which should be expensive but are way cheaper than these. What are your thoughts, Everborn?
I mean, hindsight is 2020, right?
Yes, sir.
There is something to the ease of use, but once you pop open the PS5, and which I still haven't done, but I don't game a lot on the PS5, so sue me. But once you do that, like it's a one-time thing, and you're done, right? So anybody can take a screwdriver, right? Anybody can pop a lid off and do that. So the facts are the facts, right? Where we are right now, you can get a better deal, and the PS5 storage is generally faster, and they're able to do that because they went with certain standards. So Xbox went, they made the compromise for ease of use, which is super interesting because if you look at this sort of utilitarian design of especially the Series X console, it feels like you should just be able to open this thing up and slide a tray out, put some memory in, and call it a day. But that hasn't turned out to be the case. So I said memory, but I mean like storage memory, not RAM memory. But I don't know. Maybe whatever the next, like the slim version of the Series X, maybe they'll do something different. I don't know. Or we just, as I like to say, handcuffed to this dead hooker that is Seagate.
That's terrible, bro. That's terrible.
No, they're stuck with it now, right? This is the decision they made. They went proprietary, and now it's like I don't want to call it an albatross. It's whatever. Like, delete your games if you don't want to, but you got to give credit where credit is due. And in hindsight, Sony had the more future-proof option.
Absolutely.
Right.
Now, real quick,
the only other option is if Microsoft would make these themselves, and then subsidize them on their own. But because they partnered with a third-party thing for some proprietary thing that no one else is going to adopt, that's just going to keep the prices higher. So, in the future, I hope they learn from this. Buck says he has to leave. So
let's read his super chat. Buck with a $5 super chat saying, "I have to leave, but I wanted to say, VG panel discussion. Very good panel discussion. Thank you. Very interesting, rational, and non-extremists and other podcasts out there. Good day. We appreciate you, Buck. Thank you. That's what we here for.
Don't you buck not extremists. Shout out to King David.
Not extremists. Yes, indeed, Buck. Thank you so much for being here. Real quick, also wanted to address something. It looks like YouTube has turned on ads in the middle of live streams by default. Because I've seen a few folks saying, "Hey, can we turn off the live ads?" I didn't even know they were available. And I'm literally trying to dig through the settings here without ruining our live stream, and there are no options to turn it off. It's really terrible. I apologize for that. I'll make sure that the next time before we turn on the live stream, there must be a setting somewhere to turn that off. So if you're having that, experiencing that right now, I sincerely apologize. After the show, on video on demand, there may be ads, and that is what it is. But during the live show, that's terrible. I didn't think that was a thing that they were going to do. But
that's why you gotta pay for that YouTube Premium.
Yeah, they're trying to push us and wink, nudge.
That's not like an advertisement. I mean, like, because we don't get anything if you sign.
We ain't get nothing for that. Yeah, that's right.
I'm just saying, I pay for YouTube Premium, and it has changed my life.
Everborn Shield, right? Am I right, everybody?
Not.
Says Mr. Unreal Engine.
I pay for it as well. Yeah, I pay for it as well.
They bullied me into it.
They bullied you into it. Okay.
When you're traveling, you don't want ads in the middle of your
it's just a little horrible. It's a little horrible. But you know what? Let us get back to the conversation at hand. Mr. Pixelbit G, sir, what are your thoughts on this? You're a technologist like us. People were like, "Oh, it's slower storage." No, it's not. It's just as fast. Yes, it's a little bit slower than the Xbox, than the PlayStation 1 is. But if they ever decide, I was about to say, if they ever decide to use components of velocity architecture, that would not be a problem. No, even they themselves haven't used it, so that's neither here nor there. But still, that price, it's a pain point. What do you think, sir?
Yeah, that price is a sucker tax, and I've paid it like 4 times already. So
4 times. That's painful.
Yeah, because I have 2 Series S's for my sons, and I have 2 X's. So
I got two of them. I feel your pain.
I actually picked up
I
3
bought
of the 1 terabyte cards.
Mm.
The week the system's launched.
Yeah.
And I picked up the 2 terabyte like last week. So
see,
but I also
so
upgraded on my PlayStation 2. So
okay. See, I upgraded the PS2 as well. The PlayStation 5 version.
Yeah, I put that 980 up in there. So
okay.
But yeah, I mean they easy. So initially when they first announced it, the beginning of the generation, and Sony actually didn't have a solution that worked. Right, let's not forget that. Right,
yeah, that's true.
They gave you had 640 gigabytes of available storage.
Right. Yeah.
So initially it sounded like a great idea, right? But over time, right, we have this explosion of drop in prices for NVMe tech, and then now we're finding out that the Series X version of that chip technically is more of a memory card than it is NVMe, right? It's not. I think it's more than just the interface, right? Because that card doesn't degrade speed no matter how high it gets.
Yep.
So let's just be clear, right? It's not a normal NVMe card.
No, it's not a normal NVMe card. Yeah, it uses NVMe technology, but has compact flash framing. And compact flashes are like really resilient. They also cost more because they're proprietary technology. That's they call it Compact Flash Express, CF Express. That's the reason why those prices don't go down, because you're still paying a license fee every single time one of them is made. So it is what it is. Yeah. But continue. Yes.
Yep. So good framing, right? So we should have known that it wasn't going to go down. We should have known. So
I was hoping Xbox would supplement it, like they'd get more people in the pot.
I see allow some competition, like 3-bit that previously said, right? Like you need competition in the space in order to force the price down.
Yep.
Which they did. So now you got this kind of ridiculously, because now it's it's ridiculously priced at this point, right?
Yep.
That 2 terabyte card hurt going down, right? It hurt.
Painful. It is painful.
Cheap purchase, right?
Yep.
So it is what it is now. It's not like I'm buying any more of them, right? I've already taken my more than a console worth purchases on it. The problem though is what happens on the next console. And somebody brought this up on the show I was watching yesterday, right? So like, and I never really thought about it. I'm like, wait a minute, what happens on the next system, right? They'll
definitely do away with this technology, which means you'll lose your access to some of these,
and you just don't have access to do it again in the future, because they have to see that it was a bad idea. So like Everborn was saying, even if you look at the way the system is packed in, right, is very modular, even though it's dual board, right? It's still technically a kind of modular kind of design.
Yeah.
So you would hope that there would be a way to like pull a part of the system out to slide in a card.
Yeah.
That may be something they would have to do, but we know that creating something plug and play like that is going to be it comes at an expense.
It comes at a cost, for sure.
Like higher cost for a system that, let's be real, costs more to make than a PlayStation 5.
True.
Right.
True.
Like, this is a more expensive system.
Yeah.
That they're subsidizing more. So we understand why they made the decision, but I really hope that they never make this decision again. Right. Like just go. Especially and like everyone said earlier, it's funny that they did it on this console, not because of the way it's designed, but more because of the way that Microsoft views their console technology. Right. They treat Xbox like an extension of PC.
Yes.
Like,
these things are in server racks, right?
Like, exactly. It's literally just an extension of a PC, right? So you're basically creating a console that all of its design down to its sock chip is designed to be a PC, running a server rack, use PC development tools that we still haven't seen yet, all this, right?
Yeah.
And then you decide, hey, I got to keep it real, right?
Dropping a little bit of that slander. I appreciate you, sir. Go ahead.
But then you got this card that's like totally proprietary, which is something that Microsoft does on nothing, right? They don't do proprietary stuff.
Yeah.
Right? They used to, but they don't anymore. That's an Apple thing.
Yeah.
So I really wonder who paid who to come up with this idea, right? I don't know, right? Who said this was a great idea?
Yeah, it sounds like Seagate's eating,
Yeah. Sounds like Seagate is eating very good right now, right?
Yeah. So on that point, before we move on from this, this is what I want to try next here, and I don't know if it works, but this is out here, and this is an adapter card that some people have been using, and then you can buy your own miniature NVMe and plug it in there and potentially use that as an adapter, as you can see on the screen here for those who are looking.
Yeah,
and
I've been
basically
as well.
plugging that in. You know, people have been having mixed results with it. Obviously, we don't trust it. We don't trust it. But this is the same card. This is the same kind of NVMe card that goes into a Steam Deck. So if this doesn't work, I know I can always repurpose it into my Steam Deck. I might give this a shot and see what happens. You know, watch this space. I might give this a shot. I might take one for the team, as they say, and report back and see if it works or not. All right. So, and it's $30 on Amazon if you want to test it out. It's basically you can just look it up, an Xbox adapter for Series X and S, and it's just the housing for a standard NVMe that then makes it still useful.
I recall someone trying this last year,
way back in the day.
Yeah. The problem at the time was that is formatting it for the system to read it.
Yeah.
Right? It's not just a matter of it. Oh, can't hear you, man.
Oh, do we lose you?
Can you hear me?
Oh, we hear you. We hear you fine. We hear you fine.
Okay. I'm sorry. So yeah. So I think the formatting of the drive
might be the problem. Yeah.
So yeah. So yeah. Well, we'll see, right?
So yeah, we'll leave this part here, but I'll just say watch this space because I might be the sacrificial lamb that gives this thing a try. I like this kind of stuff, so we'll see how it goes.
To try it on though, right? You have an S to try it on?
I do have a Series S. Yeah, I will try it on the S. But okay, so once again, I will. We are one guest away from 170 viewers of the channel. Oh man, this is amazing. In one show, this is absolutely fantastic. We've never hit such high heights here. We appreciate you being here. Oh, I see Che Walker in here. Thank you, sir, for always being here with a $5 super chat saying supplementing Kei Asante taking a shot for the team. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. These super chats will help me do my supplementing. I appreciate that. Thank you.
So, Kei, 170 would be the highest?
170? What do you mean?
170 as far as viewers.
As far as viewers, yeah, it's the highest we've ever had in one view.
How many likes do we have though?
Oh, here we go. We have 132 likes. 100. We could get a little higher, ladies and gentlemen, please. And
post it on your Twitters.
If you haven't subscribed yet, please think about it. This is what we do on Saturday, I should say. We come here, we bring great people and talk about it.
Can we get much higher?
Oh, here we go.
I would like to take this moment to recognize and say good morning to everyone in the chat, except for those who haven't hit the like button.
Oh, man, this guy.
We appreciate every single one of you.
All right,
hit the like button.
So we're now going to get towards the meat and potatoes of this episode, I say, because the rest of these topics are a bit slanderous. And I suspect you'll see Everborn get on cam because he needs to get on cam for effect here. Quick.
I'm just waiting.
So first and foremost, we have
170.
Oh, look at that new record, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. This is awesome. Absolutely.
Oh, but I just want to. I do want to take a minute though.
Yes, sir.
Right, and not to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
This is amazing. 170. The reason this 170 is important because we only have 1,150 subscribers. So to have nearly 20% of our subscribers be watching, or at least count wise, and I say this to say, if you are not subscribed, you're worse than the people who haven't clicked like.
Stop it.
Please.
and
subscribe if you are not. We're trying to get to 12,000. It would be great.
12,000.
We try to inform and entertain. 1,200. Well, listen. 2,000 is on the way to 12,000. You know what I'm saying.
I get you.
The point is, if you are not subscribed, please take a moment. If you're listening to this after the fact, you can make up for your travesty by subscribing.
Way to shame these people. Shame them into subscribing.
It worked for me in all of the development of my life. You shame people into excellence.
Absolutely.
I'm telling you, my mom did it. Right. I turned out great.
He says. No, but on a serious note, we do really appreciate folks checking us out. you know, we're making great strides in this space. And by the way, a quick aside, you will be seeing more and more updates on this channel and more changes to our branding, to all this stuff. We got some good stuff working on. I know people have been asking me in the DMs and whatnot, hey, are we gonna start doing emojis and all this other custom stuff for us? That's on its way. We're talking about it. We're working through it. We're gonna, you know, you're gonna see some major changes because as more of you folks are watching and we're getting super chats and stuff, we're taking all those funds and putting it back in the show, trying to make it look as best as it can, getting better hardware. Yes, I appreciate EverbornSaga being off cam because his camera is way better than mine. That will change soon, sir. That will change soon.
On that note.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that will change soon. We're really working to make the show far more brilliant than it currently is. But you know, and by brilliant, by looks, because of course the content is always king, and you're here for that, and we appreciate you. So okay, let us move on to more of the thought-provoking / slanderous part more of this show, where we're talking about some of the ABK things, some of the Sony things, a few things that have come here. And
we should call this segment "Days of Our Lives."
And there should be a little spinning, spinning world. Yeah, let's not go there. Some of us are old. And hopefully, before we end this, we'll talk a little bit about Unreal Engine, because that's really what I wanted to talk about when we got here. But let's see if we can get through these as quickly as we possibly can. I'm just trying to run out the
shot clock so we don't have to talk about Unreal. But
I really want to, because we have a great panel here that could really bring some knowledge to it. Microsoft is running a full-page ad in the UK Times promoting this whole ABK merger thing. When I saw this, I thought it was very hilarious and funny. And I'll add a few more nuggets into this thing as we talk, right? But some folks brought it up as, oh, this might be a sign of weakness, while others are saying, come on now, this is just them, you know, full court press. You know, Everborn, I know you've been reading deep in these documents, right? And there's the Lulu Chang of it all and all of that stuff. What did this speak to you? What did this say to you? With all right, so Call of Duty, all of that.
Okay, so where do we start? Right, there's what came to light about a meme that turns out was based on statements in a court proceeding.
You mean this wonderful article here by Jez Corden, who has the best? Look at this.
Right,
hilarious.
But then there's the aspect of everyone crying about a meme and then crying about what Jez said in this article, and then crying or trying to make excuses for something that they said wasn't true before and called childish before. And then there is the side of it of, is this desperation for Microsoft to take out an ad? Are they negotiating in the public?
All of that.
Then you have a narrative going around of trying to make these weird, what I think is like horrible sort of projection-based comparisons to groups when we're supposed to just be talking about gaming. So there's so many places to go. So just give me a direction, and then we'll go from there. What do you want to start?
I'll be honest with you.
What angle do you want to attack?
Honestly, I want to thread these two stories together, right? Right now, and we can delve deep a bit into the what Lulu Chang said and what it means and what it doesn't mean, and you know. I started with the article, the full page ad, because it gave me, even some folks on my timeline that I appreciate, you know, that tend to be full of good information and informative. They all came at it with different sides of the coin. Some thinking that, hey, if you guys are so confident and you guys are so like ready to close this deal,
I got you.
Why would you be then opening this ad? It kind of breeds a little desperation or whatever. Go ahead.
So we'll start with the ad. People say it doesn't exude confidence. To that I say, so what about what it exudes? They're trying to close a deal. They're dotting every I. They're crossing every T. They put it in the what was it? The UK Financial Times or wherever they put it. which is where people might read this. They are trying to get public support. There's $70 billion on the line. You leave nothing to chance. You put your pride to the side, right? Nobody has a problem, or at least the people complaining about this don't have a problem with Jim Ryan and Sony putting their pride to the side, saying that they can't possibly compete, and God of War and Spider-Man
Our
and everything
developers
else
suck.
doesn't hold a
They all suck.
Right? So this is the thing. This is the thing, right? Both companies are using language, right? And they're making arguments and placing themselves in light to achieve the objectives of both sides, right?
Yeah.
So Sony is going to say things that we clearly see are not true, right? About them not being able to survive, about they'd have to change their entire business model if they included COD and Gamepass, which is insane that they're being offered that, but we haven't seen the terms of the contract. And then Sony comes out and says, well, you can't see it because Microsoft doesn't want you to see it.
Yep.
You know, so there's all those things, right? But remember, the language that they are using, they are looking at the laws that are on the books for the CMA to follow, and they are parroting those laws back to the CMA in hopes of convincing them. Now, whether they do that through public opinion, right? Because guess what? The CMA is answerable to the public, right?
Yep.
The CMA does have to seem that there is... they have to avoid the appearance of impropriety, right? So this is all a part of the negotiation. And my issue with all of this is people will pick a side that they love, right? That they're fans of, and then they will say that side is being completely genuine and telling the truth, and the other side is just how dare they, and then they like there's no morals, right? We all understand that you know, if we're PlayStation fans, we understand that Sony's gonna say what after they have to do to protect their interests and their players, right? So we throw morals out the door because they're just doing what they have to do. And then on the flip side, we will effectively pretend that everything Microsoft is doing is immoral, and the same thing goes vice versa. So I'm saying we have to look at this as a game of chess, and both sides are moving the pieces as they see fit. And so you can't accuse someone being of being a fanboy and then cry every time the CCO of Activision tweets, right? It does not work that way, right? You can't pretend you care about like the sanctity of a closed door courtroom in the EU proceedings because somebody just exposed that Jim Ryan is doing what we all knew from the beginning, which is trying to block the deal. They don't want a new deal.
But you know what though? Let me push back on that part just a tiny bit on that, because we are all in agreement that they don't want this deal to go through. But I kind of feel like when you say that out loud, even if in a closed door proceedings, there's stenographers in the room. They're writing this stuff down, right? This is when they say closed door and not open to the public. This is what I'm saying. They mean that to you and me.
She was lying to, oh, he said it, but you should have respected the sanctity.
But do they really want to close the deal if he's saying that? Doesn't that counteract everything he's trying to accomplish? Because the minute the CMA finds out that's your basis of modus operandi, you are an unreliable narrator. You're a disingenuous.
Would the CMA have been part of that conversation, or did this happen outside their purview?
Well, see, that's the question. It may have been within their purview. It may have been outside their purview. But this was all during the time when they were all in Brussels, right? And this was during closed door proceedings. We don't know.
It was on February 21st.
21st, yeah. We don't know who was in the room where it happened. We don't know that.
That was heard around the world.
Yeah, we don't know that.
Was cried about around the world.
Yes.
Right.
We don't know the logistics of who was there, but still, there are receipts that can easily be pulled up if this becomes a thing, right? Go ahead, Everborn.
No, but it's not a thing. Sony has not denounced it, and they're quick to come out and denounce things.
Yeah.
And again, the conversation has moved away from did he say it, because we know he said it.
He said it.
To,
now it's about
of course
he
said
you shouldn't
that,
talk about it
but
because it's a closed door.
You shouldn't talk about it. Here's the issue with that statement, right? And I want to read you an excerpt from Sony's response to the CMA's remedies.
Okay.
Right? So, as the CMA is aware, SIE made known its concerns about the transaction to Microsoft almost a year ago. In the intervening period, Microsoft has not shown any real commitment to reaching a negotiated outcome. They have dragged their feet, engaged only when they have sensed regulatory outlook was darkening, and favored negotiating in the media over engaging with SIE. Microsoft's most recent proposal, which SIE received blank, which is probably December, is telling. So here's the problem, right? Again, I'm saying this fully understanding Jim Ryan and Sony's army of lawyers and economists are doing what they are supposed to do, right? But we cannot say that they're doing what they're supposed to do and Microsoft is not, right? So that's fine. But the issue is that's the statement that's made about how Microsoft is handling it. And then, but we know that Jim Ryan is going and saying that we don't even want a deal. So how can you say that Microsoft doesn't want a negotiated deal when you are the one that says we don't want a deal, we just want to block the merger? Right.
See, and this is why I'm asking.
That is what you call a two-step.
This is why I'm asking why would you say that? Because at the end of the day, you know this is going to get back to the regulators. Aren't you just killing your own narrative by saying that? 3-Bit, please join the conversation. What are your thoughts about all of this?
Yeah, it's just great. It's interesting. Like they haven't reached an agreement yet as Sony, because what they want in an agreement is as if they own the franchise.
Yeah, they dictate terms.
That's what it seems like. They want to dictate terms as if they are the ones spending the $70 billion. And I've always said, like, if Microsoft now owns Activision Blizzard, it's bad for Sony. If they don't own Microsoft, if Microsoft doesn't own Activision Blizzard, is also bad for Sony because of the relationships they've damaged in this merger, and also how Lulu has been saying like you guys realize like we are seeing what you're doing, right? you've realized that like you're kind of like making us look bad in certain situations, not just Microsoft but Activision Blizzard.
And they were thick as thieves for how long now, like with all their exclusivity deals and whatnot, and this is how you're treating them. Like, it's kind of
so that's actually a point, just really quick, 3, but I want to make this point that again, this is why I don't want us to get into these like moral arguments about this. This is an argument between mega corporations, and we can have a side, but don't get it all in your feelings about it, right? Each side are using the tools at their hand. So here's the issue, right? And this is for the people making this whole moral argument about Sony. So for the last decade, right, we're even talking about COD because for the last 20 years it has been doing so well. But half of that time, because of their market share, Sony has been able to secure the marketing rights, right? And the reason they've been able to do this is because they've had market share, and it would cost Microsoft way more than it would cost Sony for them to have this marketing contract. It used to be with the Xbox, now it's with Sony, right? And so in the last decade, as Sony has built upon their lead by using the foreclosure tactics that they say they won't be able to compete without, right? They're actually doing this right now. And the issue with that is, again, it's been a decade. It's been ongoing for a decade, right? And for Microsoft to wrestle back those marketing rights, it would force them into an uneconomical situation. Why am I bringing that up? Because what they would have to pay Activision to get the same benefits that Sony has would would not make as much as they'd have to spend to do it. So it's counterintuitive to basically you wouldn't have the financial benefit because you'd have to spend so much to get it. The reason I'm bringing that up is because Sony's complaint here is if they adopt, if Microsoft gets Activision, then they will have to adopt counterintuitive financial practices, which is spending so much money to put something in Game Pass that it breaks their financial model, right?
Yeah.
So effectively what we're saying is let's keep it independent and then let's have Microsoft be in the counterintuitive economic situation, right? Versus Sony having to do it. And I just don't believe we should say it's okay for Sony to force Microsoft into a loss leading sort of venture versus
it's the market that
okay.
they're in. Like Sony has been dominating that market for a long time, and the way they've been competing is these third-party deals and basically staying at the top. Microsoft has kind of had, this is like their way of competing in a lot of ways to try and get into the market because the fact like they have different business models. Like Sony relies on more so console sales, while Microsoft has been trying to get in the industry through subscription services. So this is like definitely their way of buying Activision Blizzard is their way of getting in the mobile market and getting into the subscription service. This is like mostly the only way they can at this point because of how dominant PlayStation is.
The market's too mature
globally.
Yeah.
Like here we have a little bit of a almost like almost an equal stand, not really, but they're still dominating here. But at least it's like it's closer here, especially this generation. But everywhere else, it's not even a contest, ridiculous. Right? So this is how they have to compete in a way to break some sort of ground in the market. Is
so 3-bit.
Like, okay, let's own.
While you're speaking on that, 3-bit, let me add another bit of color to this story. And we'll talk recently about how they are now talking about how if Microsoft is allowed, this is some of the tactics they're using to try and block the deal or trying to like ask the regulatory bodies to block the deal. They're saying if Microsoft is allowed to buy this franchise, there's a big chance that we're going to start seeing bugs and errors on the PlayStation version when it comes out. So please speak on that as well, sir.
Oh man, when I saw that, my first thought was it felt like projection in a lot of ways, and it also it feels like they are protecting themselves from like the console parity thing that's been happening for quite some time. Like a lot of developers develop for PlayStation first, right, and then they have their Xbox version. That's just how it's been in the industry. PlayStation is a more popular platform, so that's just how it's been. Yep. And when you have a third party now becoming a first party, you can utilize what's actually in the console, what's actually in the Xbox by using DX12, RDNA2 features. So let's say like they start actually using a lot of the tools that we keep saying, like, where's the tools? Yep. They start using that, and then you see a performance difference on the Xbox and PlayStation. And PlayStation doesn't want that. They don't want any sort of switch to be like, Call of Duty is better, like slightly better on the Xbox. I don't know.
So
that's my opinion.
So just really quick,
I had the
Pixel,
same
you had a
thought. Go ahead, everyone.
Pixel, you had a quote that I told you a lot of people were gonna cry about,
and they did, and I'm glad they did. Cry more, cry harder.
Good. Now tell them what your quote was. Tell them what your quote was.
Let's hear it.
When you're accustomed to privilege, equity feels like oppression.
Yeah.
Right. And that is the problem with Sony. But by the same token, Sony created this problem for themselves. Right. They've had a leadership position for a long time. Right. And even in the midst of the blowout that was the PS4, Xbox One generation, which was a blowout, right? 2-1, damn near 3-1 blowout.
Yeah.
they still decided to come into this generation doing what? Locking up every big exclusion. Think of this for a second. Had Microsoft not purchased Bethesda, Sony technically may have had every major third-party RPG exclusive to their console.
Yep. And possibly Starfield, based on their
Starfield. Yeah.
That's my point. That's my point.
Yeah.
They got Forspoken. They got Final Fantasy 16. They're de facto getting Baldur's Gate 3. Not a deal. Okay.
Yeah.
And then they almost had Starfield. So they would have had every RPG.
They got
every major RPG.
Stellar Blade, aka Stellar Yams. All of a sudden went all exclusive.
In a single in 1 year. Why buy an Xbox?
Yeah.
So Sony has been enacting this ultra aggressive foreclosure strategy since before the
which is well within their rights.
No, hold on.
I know what you're going. I'm agreeing with you.
That is the business. That is the business of business, right? So about their article, their ad. Their ad is no different than the kind of ad you would see from like NFL Network. If you're a Comcast user and Comcast decides we're going to charge you more, NFL Network will just remove that station off of your network, and then they'll start slapping advertisements in your area talking about, hey, your provider doesn't want us to give you this deal. It's your provider, right?
Yeah.
That's the same tactic that Microsoft is applying here. So I don't care about it because it is what it is. For me, my issue with like the way certain people reporting this stuff is I didn't hear anyone complaining for the decade of exclusions, right? Didn't hear a single peep when Street Fighter of all games became exclusive. See, prior to that, I didn't have any particular beef with anybody. The minute Street Fighter became exclusive, I was like, hold up. As a person who's been playing Street Fighter since Fighting Street, which has been on every platform, right? Even the PC Engine had Fighting Street on it, right? It's a universally third-party game. For that to go exclusive was like, oh, okay. Sony's not playing.
New game, new world.
Literally, like, we're gonna take every major game and make it our own. Fine, and that's what you could do when you have dominance in the market, right? Because now we're finding out that not only can Sony outbid Microsoft, but Sony can backload payment on those deals. So they don't have to give them the money straight up because their player base is so large. It's like, oh, we'll give you some and you'll get.
We're good for it. We're good for it. You know, we're the only game in town. That's right.
Microsoft can never pull that. So the expense is just astronomical. So I say that to say that Sony kind of built this situation, right? With the hopes that maybe Xbox would always be the stepchild of Microsoft and would never become the DirectX Microsoft box, right? But that changed because it was either change, to 3-bit's point, right? They had to change their model. And it was either you change your model or you leave the industry. So they went Gamepass and they, we're going to change the industry. Fine. But to do that, you need content, right? And on top of that, on top of needing content, you need content that shows well on your platform. And if you're the secondary development platform, not even really Xbox is the tertiary development platform because the way that they changed their development tools, right? So now their development tools require that their development tools actually require are so close to PC development at this point that you don't even develop for Xbox, really, right? Not really.
Yeah.
Right. You make a PC port of a game.
Yeah. And hit a button, and it makes it Xbox compatible.
And you deploy the Xbox version, and then you optimize from there.
Yeah.
And then what we saw in like Callisto Protocol, or actually any game that's coming out now, a lot of things what you're seeing now is the PC version has an issue, the Xbox version has the same issue.
Yep. Callisto played terribly on a 4090 compared to the PS5.
Callisto Protocol, that Batman game that just came out, right? It had the micro stutters and stuff. Still has the micro stutters.
Yeah.
So does the Xbox version, right? Because it's the same code base.
Yep.
So when you have all of that working against you, The only thing you can do is make first party bigger. Like that's kind of the only option you have, or leave the industry.
Yeah.
So
that's
in this
the only way they're gonna have to show off their tech, because at this point they're not gonna utilize a lot of it. It has to be first party.
Right, and remember, like I think 2019, Microsoft made a deal with AMD and Nvidia to make DX12U the primary development platform for those cards, something like that. Remember that? And yet we're still in scenarios where we're barely seeing those tools used, right?
Not at all, yeah.
Forspoken comes out. It's like the first game to actually utilize direct storage. And what does it do? It smokes the PS5 load time on a card that has half the speed of the PS5 card. So everybody's like, oh, Microsoft is brute force, and no, Microsoft is finessing. But in order to do it this way, you got to get industry buy-in.
That's
and
right.
You don't get that if you're third place, like hard body third place.
Yep.
So you buy first party. So what happens now? What happens now is you have Bethesda, you have the engines Bethesda made. I'm not going to go into the engine talk, but this is all part of it, right?
No, preach it.
It's all, yeah. Add to it. That's right. That's what we're here for. Go ahead.
So now you have
Umbra's quiet. Let him listen. Let him hear it. Come on.
Now first-party studios, right, who are going to do what? They're going to change their engines to speak to Microsoft hardware the way it's supposed to be spoken to.
Yeah.
Right?
Talk to me nice.
Right? Talk
but
like
wait a minute now.
Right?
But wait a minute.
Boys, hook me up. So
wait
now
a minute,
you're going to get those extra features in those platforms. Go ahead.
What's up?
So, and this is the thing with the whole Unreal thing, right? You have to remember, and again, I'm not saying correlation is causation, and I'm not even putting on the tinfoil hat, right? But when we talk about developing these engines and like Unreal and Unity, those are sort of abstraction layers that kind of that take away the sort of so you don't have to worry about this coding so close to the metal, as they call it, right? So is there a world where Unreal is developed to take more advantage of the PS5 hardware features than they are to take advantage of the Xbox hardware and DX12 tools?
And
right?
You know what? I will let Infinite Umbra also join in on that conversation. But to your point there, Everborn, that question you asked, I think, and please correct me if I'm wrong here, professionals on the panel, I think that Microsoft has been lucky that Sony is not about that development environment. They make their custom one. It works for them. They've continued it down the line. If they wanted to take over that way, as large of an install base as they have, they could have by now. They're just lucky that they don't have a competitor that can do what they do as far as DirectX, as far as having that communication.
I would say no, hold on. No. There's no scenario where all development goes Sony's way, because majority of PCs don't use the kind of architecture the way they do.
True. They're not Linux based. Yeah.
The reason why Sony is eating right now is because most of the engines are designed on last gen's technology.
Yeah, with some add-ons.
PS4 and PS5 are very similar.
The PS5 is just a souped up PS4.
Yep.
Be mad. It is what it is.
It's true. But it worked for them. It did. It works for them.
It works because that is how games are designed. Yeah. It's the smart way to do it.
And that's what people know.
And that's exactly that's what people know. Microsoft, at the beginning of the generation, they went crazy, right? Oh, mesh shaders. We're going to change the way the pipeline works. Direct storage. We're going to change the way you read in your data.
Sampler feedback.
Sampler feedback. We're going to change the way. What are you hearing? You're hearing change. Yeah. A lot of it. So what has to happen for change to take effect? You have to have engines that use the tools that you use, or you don't see a change. Which is why the games we see now look like upgraded last gen games, because they're not using those technologies yet.
Now, Pixel, let me add something to this, right? So not everybody in the chat or that will listen to this in the future is a game developer, right? But we've all had jobs, right? And how often have you seen people at work doing things not because it was the best way to do it, not because it was the most efficient way to do it, but because this is the way they've always done it?
Yep.
Right? And
Tried and
you
true.
have to, so you have, even if you're in technology, right? And this is a misconception that most technology people are future leaning.
No,
it's not really
absolutely
true.
not. Yeah.
Technology people are like, does this work? That's what I want to do. That's what
Yep.
I learned. I don't like new things, right?
Absolutely.
I think there is a benefit there in that. I guess Sony understood that, and they said, listen, this is what everyone's used to. We're going to evolve that so people can still get up and running faster, be more proficient in what they know already.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Microsoft has. Oh yeah. Sorry.
No, right. So Microsoft now will, they're gonna have to show through first party what these new tools can do, and they have to become a market force to almost force people to utilize those tools.
That's right.
So
on both
that's
fronts.
ultimately
on both fronts.
what's happening
Absolutely.
here. But 3-bit,
Yeah.
you were gonna say
Yes.
something. Go ahead.
3-bit.
Yeah, I was basically going to say what you're saying. Like, Microsoft has to make their first party at this point, because they're not the market leader. They have to kind of be a force where they show the technology in a way that it, like, hey, developers, third party, this is how it can benefit your platform, and on top of that, make it almost a seamless automatic process to Everborn's port in Unreal, like partnering with AMD even further. Like, when you look at AMD presentations, you don't see PlayStation. That's because a lot of that tech is not in the PlayStation. They utilize a different way of doing it. So whenever you see AMD talks, it's Xbox, and then the features that AMD is bringing to the table.
Although
AMD
it's interesting that AMD
recently.
has their switching, the resource switching is a very big PlayStation feature, which under the covers is kind of helping them really push above their limit on that one.
Yeah, Sony was smart in the way that the PS4 and the PS5 are very similar to develop for. And in last generation it was the opposite. Like, PS3 was a nightmare to develop for. Like, the cell processor was one of the reasons why people went to the developers went to the 360, right? And that's when the 360 was at its best. Xbox was at its best in terms of player base. A lot of people opted to go on the 360. Just
Funny,
because
that was when they had the easier tools, right?
Yeah, so it's like a flip-flop this generation where developers are kind of going to the PlayStation first, because it's pretty easy to develop for, and there's so much new technology on the Xbox side of things, so much new things that they have to figure out. They're like, let's not, because we haven't seen a single game. I think maybe Deathloop is the one game that uses like FSR or something.
FSR 2.0.
There hasn't been a lot.
Not too many people use FSR. Not too many of them are using any of the compression algorithms that help supplement the idea that you have not enough memory. People come out and complain about not enough memory, but then don't use what you're supposed to use to offset that, right? And then of course you have people like the arbiters of technical truth, and I think you know who I'm talking about. Instead of educating folks, are going, see, it sucks. Throw it in the bushes.
Well, hold on a minute. I still believe like we can have all the plans in the world, but the facts on the ground are still the facts on the ground, right? And so I don't like, if we're saying like this is the output that we get, then this is the output that we get. The purpose of first party, in my opinion, aside from being a marketing tool, right,
is to lay the groundwork, set the standard,
right, show developers, third-party developers, what they can strive to achieve. Because no developer walks into a game like, oh, I'm going to make this bad, or I'm going to sabotage this. It's always an issue of time and resource management, right? And so when you devote your time, when you devote your resources, you're going to devote them towards where's the biggest audience, and then, like you said, 3-bit, you're going to make it for the market leader who has the most market share, and then you kind of work on the other versions and try to get them as best as you can within the time that you have, right? And so, if you show developers like something that will, melt people's faces, they're going to see that and say, I want to achieve that, or I want to achieve better than that. Right.
Thank you, sir.
And then they're going to say, well, how did you do that? And then that's when you show them you use the tools and you do it this way.
So, ladies and gentlemen,
going to entice people to use these tools until you show them yourself.
Ladies and gentlemen,
you're hearing you do that. Those tools are just marketing buzzwords.
You're hearing EverbornSaga speak on what we have spoken on for weeks on this show. The smoke belongs with Microsoft. They should be. Where is their Surface moment? I've said this multiple times, right? And I used to work for one of the companies that was giving Windows short shrift at the time. If you leave the narrative to be dictated by others, they'll never speak the way you want them to speak. So eventually, what does Microsoft do? They release the Surface. So from then on, if your hardware is not up to par, or your operating system isn't up to snuff, it's because you're throwing bad hardware at it. How do you know that? Because look, Windows gave you a new benchmark, right? But they haven't done that here.
Surface clones have we seen since
that time?
Out?
Exactly.
How did Windows laptop
standard? They basically set the standard for what they should follow, right?
Yes,
and that's what should happen with Xbox first party, and hopefully it will, starting later this year. But right now,
it's tough, and they deserve that smoke.
They can't really rely on third party right now because of the dominant position of PlayStation. So what they have to do is invest in
make their first party bigger. Yeah,
make Forza.
Sega next.
Yep.
Let's go
Add that ray tracing, the Forza, that's going to be in track, right?
Yeah,
you're going to start seeing that technology with Hellblade.
See, what I want to see 3-bit,
other games.
What I want to see is them show Forza. This I've said this already on a few occasions. Show me Forza, right? But don't tell me where it's from. Don't tell me it's on the PC. Don't tell me anything. Just blow my face away with amazing, amazing technology. Show me the best you can and go, oh, by the way, at the very last end, that was the Series S. Meaning that's the floor. We're only going up from there. That will start changing these narratives. But until you do that, we got nothing but smoke for you. I want to bring in Umbra because he's been quietly sitting here. Just sitting there, just kind of listening. I hope he's here. Yes, I think he's here. Please, sir, you see what we're talking about. This is a whole threaded thing we're going on here. It seems like Sony is following that disingenuous path of trying to say, oh, well, Microsoft will sabotage their stuff, right? And to 3-bit's point, I completely agree with that as well. All this, they're going to do this, is priming the pump for when that eventuality happens and Call of Duty starts shining brighter than you expected it to on the Series S and X. They can then go back to regulators and go, see, we told you. No, it's your hardware that was always lackluster. They're just using more of the actual smart features than they were allowed to before. But still,
I can imagine
at the end of all of this, though, I still do believe that there's some smoke to be given to Xbox because this is all still very hypothetical because they have not shown us what these things can really do. Come on, Umbra. What do you think?
I don't have a ton to add to this because I think you all covered it expertly well, right? Expertly. I am tired, so stick with me,
please.
folks.
No worries, man. Go ahead.
I would just say, like you all said, literally, almost word for word, Everborn did what I said on the podcast on a different subject, which was the reason why people are throwing shade at the Series S is largely because of the game's development being the lead development being done on the PlayStation. So it's possible that just the tools are not tooling as they should, you know what I mean? Because they're not using them to that full advantage. The developers, they're developing for the PlayStation and porting over whatever they can over to these other platforms. So I think, and excuse the background, I guess they're after me.
They're coming for you. They're coming for you. It's all good. Go ahead.
So it is up to Xbox first party, and I think there's an engine for that can really help make that shine.
See, but that's the problem. That is a problem because that engine, and we'll speak to that engine is also supplemented by cost by PlayStation. So you think that there's a world where the Epic, who has been getting small but not substantial, but still been getting some stipends from PlayStation. You think they will then incorporate more DirectX features and make the Series S start using all those various features better? So that
well, not even a Series S necessarily. It's
Well,
just
Umbra,
yeah.
Umbra, 1 second,
Go
and
ahead.
just because I want you to answer this part, and this is part of my issue with everything being Unreal. How many examples do we have of multi-platform Unreal games that perform better on the PlayStation than the Xbox? Now, and once we start to look at that, Callisto Protocol comes to mind right now. But once we start to consider that, could it potentially be that Unreal is more well integrated with Sony's architecture than the Xboxes?
I would disagree with that just because of the case you used. Callisto had specifically, as we all know, PlayStation developers working on it. So if anything, they were just tooling that thing to work best on that platform already. And I don't think the Epic is in any position with the little bit that Sony has stock of theirs to say, hey, we're going to give you preferential treatment and do right by you, or more right by you versus Xbox. You know, people who are also paying us for
I
the
mean,
engine.
I
I don't
won't
think they're going to do that.
I won't give you too much pushback on that, except when the whole UE5 thing started and they literally like started regurgitating the talking points that only on PS5 when that was clearly
Yeah, I
wrong.
remember that nonsense.
But hold on a second. There's one thing though. It's not they were able to run that nonsense not because of any particular feature related to PlayStation, right? It's more because of how Unreal is designed, right? So Unreal internally doesn't support those DirectX 12 features,
Yeah.
right? Nanite is not based on mesh shaders; it doesn't use them. UE5 doesn't use direct storage, right? So UE5 basically was being developed while Microsoft was building DirectX 12U, right? So
it's almost a competitor, if you will, right? It's just those features. It is, but it's just that Unreal is sold to consumers, whereas Xbox is just keeping it for the development platform of their hardware.
Right.
So there, and that, it makes sense, right? Everybody has their own development path. So while Unreal has like its virtualized texture technology, which basically would be sampler feedback, right? But that's in software. Whereas for Microsoft, you would be able to perform that same concept in hardware, right? That's the difference. That's the major difference. The reason why on like the 3000 series GPUs, you don't see it as a big issue is because they got a lot of power and they can
overhead, a lot of overhead.
Yeah.
And by the way, while we're having this conversation, since you guys spurred that question, I found a thing where somebody has documented every PS5 game that outperforms the Xbox Series X version. And we'll see how many of these, we can eyeball how many of these are potentially Unreal 5 games. They don't speak on them specifically, but there are a lot of them in here. But continue, sir. I apologize.
But you also notice it a lot with Unreal 4, right? So you get the major thing being like the micro sliders and the texture. So the texture's not preloading in during the first run of the game, right? Those kind of concepts.
And some of them are a little outdated, like Valhalla, for example.
Yeah, some of them have been corrected. They've been corrected since. Yep.
Right. So they go back in and they make the change. So like I did some research trying to see, was Epic looking to add any of these Direct 12 features into their system, right? So as of July 11th of 2022, Epic confirmed that they are in the process of adding direct storage to their system.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So, it's like they built their path, and now it's like, okay, we're gonna bolt on some of these other features, but how long it's gonna take for them to do it, right? Which leads us into our the last conversation about engine.
Yeah.
Why nothing should always be on Unreal, right? There should be no one unified platform, because no one unified platform can handle every hardware, especially in the case of consoles where they have specific features that are only on that console.
So here's my question, gentlemen.
I think Unreal is just 1 second. I think Unreal is great for smaller teams, right? But the more bespoke engines by the platform holders or the large publishers that are doing these things, I think those are always going to lead the way, and that's where you're going to see the most differentiation. The beauty of Unreal is that it allows smaller teams smaller budgets to kind of punch above their weight and create things that you would need a larger amount of people who are using custom engines and bespoke tools and things like that.
I mean, that's one way to look at it, but you can look at something
It's the
like
right
Hogwarts.
way to look at it.
It's one way, but you look at Hogwarts and you look at that, and that's a gigantic team that worked on that, and that game looks spectacular in Unreal Engine 4. So it's not just.
Wait a minute, and which one does it perform better on?
I have the slightest idea.
PS5.
I never looked into it.
PS5. I'll tell you definitively. It's PS5.
Unreal Games.
Well, I'll just say my argument isn't about what it performs better on. My argument is that the Unreal Engine absolutely rocks, and that it is very necessary, and it should be used much more. That's my argument. Just want to clear it up because I've heard like, well, you know, I don't care what it performs like on PlayStation, so long as my Xbox version runs well. And I had no issues with Hogwarts on mine. I just want to point that out. That's one. Two, that thing, as many know, much like the id engine and things like that, it's just well performing. It does well all around the board.
Sure.
And it is quick to get things out. 3-Bit, you spoke on this before when I was even on you guys' podcast on how quick you can translate things over to get things and process things. It allows for faster development. It's just so many benefits with using Unreal. I cannot argue. I don't see why people would argue against using it, honestly. Now, I'm not saying every game needs it. I'm just saying that Unreal Engine is a leading platform or leading development engine for a reason.
For sure.
It's going to stay that way.
And I don't disagree on you.
Camrys are the number one selling car in America. That doesn't mean that they're going to be the best.
But you know what they are, though? Do you know what they are?
Reliable.
Consistent
and reliable. Yes.
To the title of the show.
Yes. And we're going to get to that last part, too, the consistency part, because that's important as well. No, but I do understand what you're saying, Umbra. And let me be clear. Whenever I push back on you about the Unreal Engine, it's not how good it is or how good it's not, because I agree with you by and large that the reason it's the best engine right now is because they are smart enough to see that, hey, you know, let's give the tools, like let's give as many a broad plethora of tools to these developers and make it as easy to use as possible, and then they'll come. And then of course the clincher of that was until you make your million or whatever, we're not even going to charge you, which really just threw it into full gear. So I don't disagree with that. Where I am a little bit
like Unity.
Yeah, you know, Unity is a whole different other bag. Where I am a little worried is there has never been a time where everyone consolidated to one thing and that one thing stays righteous. Because eventually when that one thing or that one company has all the power, they start misbehaving. Look at Sony. Like, you know, you don't want one engine to be the end all be all, because then Epic may stop paying your checks there, Umbra.
I mean, I can hear you on that. Too much power can absolutely.
It corrupts. You know what I'm saying? It's a little bit much.
I hear that. But what other proprietary engine like out there can we say we need to push it as heavy as we push Unreal Engine?
To be honest with you, yeah, the Unity's an option, true, and Unity's really big in the mobile space. That is true. But to be honest with you, I've always enjoyed the fact of these bespoke engines coming out of nowhere, doing some very interesting things. My first thought would be Crytek. CryEngine is amazing. It hasn't been used to its fullest extent. It was able to put software ray tracing on the Xbox One, like before they even had capabilities, right?
Yes, it does. Yep.
These guys can do magic when you allow them to do that. Imagine a world where everyone uses Unreal Engine. You're not going to get The Last of Us Part 2 because the Unreal can't do as much bespoke tuning as The Last of Us Part 2 got, right? And that's why Naughty Dog won't use that, right? I heard that The Witcher is now going towards Unreal. What will we lose in that transition, right? Unreal is excellent.
Better. What will we gain?
I'm saying them checks. I need to see them checks, bro. I need to see them checks.
Are some you know, engine developers, right? Which is a very unique skill set, right?
Yeah,
you don't want one company controlling all of the people who are even capable of making an engine, right?
Yeah.
You need other companies doing other ideas, right? If you didn't have, id and id Tech doing their thing back in the days, you wouldn't even have virtualized textures.
Yeah.
Right. You wouldn't have those ideas. So you need, I love Unreal. I use it myself, right? But you need other engines to be prominent in the space in order for new ideas to come to light. And I think that's why it's publishers taking console makers taking publishers and taking those engines and building them for their platform is great. Right. That's why Decima is such a great engine.
Yeah.
Right?
There you
Because
go.
it's built for PlayStation. And it does the things that PlayStation does best. And you see it, right? You see it in the games that they're able to produce in that engine, right? It's an amazing engine.
So real quick, before we move forward from the engine talk, real quick, I have a question. Because it's very interesting that you guys bring that up. It makes me go, is there a world where like AMD partners with an engine maker and makes their version of Unreal? Because clearly their hardware is steeped in DirectX, right? If they had a competitor to Unreal that did leverage the DirectX framework really like closely, rather than going with Nanite, rather than going with all the tools that have been created by Epic, because there's no way Epic will incorporate them as they need to. But if AMD was closely tied to an engine developer, would that not solve a lot of the Xbox not using the tools issues?
Before Everborn goes on,
just a question.
How is AMD any more tied to DirectX than NVIDIA is? They both support the same feature set.
Sure, but it looks like AMD is like full bore in there. They don't like, based on all the conversations that have come out, it's to the point where they have tied themselves to those console makers so much so that they work full bore with with Microsoft, to the point where you even see ads for AMD's new hardware, and they use the Xbox as a reference design for it, right? The only thing they're missing is an actual engine that would use all said features. Go ahead, everyone. What were you saying?
So here's the problem with what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's just a question. Go ahead.
The whole reason everyone uses Unreal is because everyone knows how to use Unreal.
Yeah.
Right. So introducing a new engine.
Sure.
You have the same problem where no one would use it. It might as well be a bespoke engine, right?
Yes. No, I get it.
So
the issue is just that we're in a mature market where one hasn't been iterated upon for far too long that others can't catch up. Is that the case?
It's really about the support. I've used 4 different gaming engines being a part of the gaming industry: Unreal, Unity, a little bit of the Snowdrop when I worked at UB, and the last one is I worked on Fable, right? So I've seen all different 4 engines. They all have different goals, and
the new Fable.
It's like it just
the new Fable.
The new Fable.
Yes, the new Fable.
I'm
not asking no more questions. Everybody, shut up. Don't ask them.
I can't talk about Fable.
That's right.
I can't talk about it. I can confirm it has grass, right? But what I will say,
can you touch the grass?
Oh, stop it! I knew he was gonna say it. Does it move when you touch the grass? No, come on.
So every game to me, it's really dependent on what your game goals are, and a lot of these engines have benefits. With Unity, I would say it takes some time to get some things looking beautiful, but when it looks beautiful, it's right.
I mean, look at Ori. Ori is made by Unity. Ori is Unity. Yeah. So there you go. One of the best looking games.
An example of that, you look at look at some Unity games on Steam. Some of them look really ugly, and some of them look friggin' amazing, right?
Yeah,
so it's really dependent on the person. Unreal is just in a place where it has a lot of support from Epic, from these other developers, are adding plugins or adding a lot of assets, so you can just kind of just go in there. So they're just put in a position where they just has a lot of support behind it. It's very easy to if you have problems with the engine, most likely on the forum there's a solution.
Somebody's already
when you have someone that's probably, if you have a problem, someone probably out there has had the same problem. When you have a new engine, you kind of have to solve a lot. We've seen what's kind of happened with like Halo Infinite and some other things. Like when you have, well, with Halo Infinite is a unique case because it's kind of based on the old engine as well. But you kind of have to solve that and gear your engine towards your game is like the main thing. I think having Unreal is a benefit. It's cool. But I do agree with you guys that you always need some other engine out there that someone uses to kind of compete. It's always competition is good in almost every other field.
Umbra's saying that PS5 is so good that all consoles should just go away and it should all just be PS5.
Yes, I am fully embracing my hooves.
Yes.
He's embracing his hooves.
Okay.
No, I understand.
I think it just goes to the whole conversation that we had basically, and I've had on the other podcasts where I say that Microsoft has to start leveraging their first-party games to look as
show us why it matters. Yep.
Show it why exactly. Show us and leverage like these engines or whatever you use. They can use the id Tech engine. id Tech is spectacular. To use that to show us how great your games can look and what all those tools look like working on the Xbox and Series S and X, so that you can, you know what I mean? Because we look at PlayStation, you can say, man, look at Ghost of Tsushima. Look how beautiful that is. Look at The Last of Us, all these other things. We can go to those and point directly to you know, PlayStation or the Destiny engine. So
Gears.
We do have Gears. Now that's we got Forza too. I just want them to go further out.
Go further.
You know
Absolutely.
They need to go more, but do remember the you know, when it got purchased, they did do that Doom update, and that Doom update flies.
Is amazing, bro. I have tried Doom Eternal on Steam Deck with ray tracing. Wow,
it does it all. Yeah,
like technically, Call of Duty is a modified version of the old ID Tech engine.
Yes,
so engines could change.
So let me quickly point out, and Jericho, he was the first to drop. I think he dropped like $100 super chat once. Bro, I will still remember that. Thank you, sir. He's back today. Thank you for checking us out with a $20 super chat. And he's saying devs can modify the Unreal Engine on their own. The Coalition, for example, used a heavily modified version for Gears 5 on UE4.
Sure. The same goes for Moon Studios and Ori, right?
Moon Studios was Unity. Yes, that was Unity. Absolutely. So you know what? We are almost close to 3 hours, and we don't want to belabor the point and go too far, but there's one last topic that I want to discuss with you fine gentlemen, and that will round up our show today. We appreciate y'all for continuing to stay with us, and that is Starfield, ladies and gentlemen. Starfield. As the curmudgeon himself, Fonz would go, Starfield. So the reason why I call this show Consistency is because we heard about Starfield's announcement this week, right? And we were all talking about, and if you see this logo here, this bit of video picture here, you'll see some comparison to my thumbnail where I checked off the ones that actually showed up versus the ones that will be delayed based off of the years that they said they'd be here, and then there are still a few pending, right? Before we start this conversation, and we're not going to go too far because, yes, we're rounding the end of the episode, but let me lay it flat right now from at least my perspective, and I'll let all these gentlemen give us theirs as well. From my perspective, it is good that the game has been delayed. I don't want Bethesda. I want Bethesda. I want them to set a new benchmark for what you expect from them when their games release. We already know they're going to be huge, in-depth. For many years of your life, you'll be playing those games. But they've also always come with those charming bugs that I want them to hopefully get rid of. And they've pushed this game back a couple times that I'm hoping that is what they needed to really, really hone in and clean up as much of this stuff as possible, right? So this is not about any single delay. I don't care if they delayed Redfall. I don't care if they delayed Starfield. I'm playing a lot of games. Like you saw my roster in the beginning of the show. We're playing a lot of games. My issue with all of this is it doesn't breed consistency when you are putting stuff on a calendar, speaking it into existence, telling a very, very aggressive and very, very, telling your public that won't necessarily, they won't forget, right? They won't forget. Yeah, it's true that when the game comes out and it's great, that people will move on. But if you're trying, to me, in my opinion, if you're trying to take the crown from the king, you have to be consistent and you can't miss. And to me, a lot of these things are unforced errors by Microsoft. They keep saying things that I was saying they're writing checks that they know their ass can't cash. Why did you even bother showing us this calendar when you know that some of them are third parties and are beyond your control, but they're on your calendar, on your stage, and you're promising that they'll be in the first half? All that really kind of erodes the consistency message for me, right? But we'll get into it. Last round, I'll start with you, 3-Bit. What are your thoughts, sir? They put Starfield in September. I was not a marcher, but I feel bad for my marchers. Shout out to Pong Soul and Mav. You know, I feel bad for my marchers. The chairman. You were the chairman of the marchers. Yes, that's right. Of the cabal, right? Yep. How you feel about it? And how do you feel about the consistency that I think is at an issue here?
Yeah, I feel like that's a big problem with Microsoft. A lot of people can't trust Microsoft for a lot of these reasons. Going back to the showcase with Xbox One, the 12-month show to me was just a dumb idea. Like it
would have been a great idea if they were consistent with it, right? If they actually did it, it'd be so great. I want that world where they can consistently tell me what's coming up next. I want that world. Why didn't they do that?
Yeah, but to me, you can have the best of both worlds. Like have games that, like to me, I like just seeing things, right? Games in the future, games that are coming. So having maybe their future showcase could have maybe the best of both worlds situation. But to me, like coming out of that showcase, I was like, man, like compared to the showcase before that, where they did show all these games that are probably years from coming out, right? But I was still hyped, getting to see State of Decay, Fable, all these other games. To me, it was just like a ball and chain thing. Like they put themselves in a situation where they like, okay, 12-month window, we're gonna make all these games are coming out in this 12-month window, and then you had a little thing at the bottom that said targeted, right?
Targeted.
It says targeting. It's not
something to change.
And I've seen people using that as like, look, see, it says targeted, and I'm just like, it shouldn't have a disclaimer to, a small disclaimer to, like, this is bad messaging at that point. So they just need to work on, like, this show's thing is consistency right above me, I think. They do need that consistency so people can trust them, and I think when they start having these games, people will start to trust them a little bit more. But it's just unfortunate. They didn't need to do that. They didn't need to limit themselves.
I'd call that defeat from the jaws of victory. Defeat from the jaws of victory.
They didn't need to do that, in my opinion. But yeah.
Pixelbit, you wanted to drop in? What'd you have to say?
Yeah. So here's the thing, right? And this is not, absolving them from their issues, right? The problem is that Xbox is reactionary. So what we got last year was a reaction to a narrative, right?
2022.
What we got was a reaction to a narrative, right? You got the Fable and all that stuff being shown way too early. Why? Because Xbox got no games.
That narrative. That's right.
They got no studios.
Yeah.
So what were they supposed to show you? They had to show you something because everybody was complaining. So here's my thing. All of the podcasters now are like, oh my God, I'm confused. Why do they do 12 months? What the hell's going on, right? But all the podcasts last year was complaining. Oh, they showed us stuff from 3 that's not coming out for 5 years. They try to do the PlayStation filter.
I don't mind that, but I know some people do.
Hold on. I don't have a problem with that. You need to advertise your content. Xbox's mistake was putting a date on it.
Yeah.
That was the mistake, right? You don't limit your range. You don't say, all these things you're going to get on stage. Everything on stage you're going to see in 12 months. Bam!
Yes. Yeah.
That's a hard statement to make.
Yes.
And, as the people who have spent time developing know, that's not how development works. Right?
I saw Silk Song on that list, and I was like, "Come on, guys! You're painting yourself in the corner, right?"
if I got a scrum, right, which is like a 3-month sprint of development.
Oh yeah, like that, I know what you're talking about.
I can tell you these 10 features that I expect to be completed in that time frame. I can't guarantee you all of them are going to be completed because scope creep happens. You run into issues. Things happen.
Yeah.
So you set a target, and then you may have to roll back features. With gaming, it's harder. You can't roll back features.
Yeah.
Not like that, right? If your missions break midway through your application, then what?
Or if there's a bug that you intentionally planted on the last level just to sabotage your competitor, you know.
Hold up. Intentionally planted on your last level, and you coded it in such a way that it's looking to see which system am I running on.
Yeah.
Am I running on a NVIDIA 2060, or am I running on a PlayStation? And only trigger this code in this one kit though.
And only during the review period should it run perfectly. Right after that review period, it just starts breaking.
Anyone that thinks that Starfield is still not going to have bugs, by the way, even after delay, you're wrong.
You're wrong.
It's still going to be. It's still going to have bugs.
To that,
it's
right?
Too big.
To the Starfield bug thing, I say to people, show me one game that does what a Bethesda game does.
Yeah,
true.
Show me.
Facts.
Because if you can show me that game and show me it with no bugs, then you'd have a point about bugs.
Yeah.
But you can't. And you know why you can't? Because everybody else in the industry looks at the shit, excuse my French, that Bethesda tries to pull off in their games. And they're like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. I'm not making every object available.
Ain't nobody got time for that. We're just going to do one thing.
I'm not giving all my AI life cycles. They have houses. They leave their house. They're only in their shop at between 8 and 5 p.m. You feel me? What other games do that?
Yep.
They don't. Nobody does that. So I give them some credit for that. But back to Microsoft, right? They made a mistake, but they made a mistake because we all asked for that mistake, Nick. I'm gonna stop playing. Where are your games? They made a mistake in a year they knew they had no games. Facts. No games last year. Not first party, right? Not AAA, whatever, right? They didn't have any of that last year. So they set up a timeline. But looking at the timeline, what do we get? We got a list of 50 games. I think they hit 37, right? Not first party, but just total, right? Yeah. 37 of those games actually are out. What is that? What is that in percentages, right? 67% or something like that, right? It's a pretty high percent. But it's also just, a scenario like this looks worse only because your 2022 happened.
Yeah.
It looks worse because, you've had years where you just weren't putting out enough content. That's why it looks worse. But if you put this in a scenario where they were actually hitting their targets on the time, then,
consistency, baby. That's what it's about. Consistency.
I agree with that. With Pixel Bit. Yeah, I think he hit it on the head there. But I'll just add this, and I've said this from the start, and I won't draw on because I think we're all in agreement. Microsoft should not have stated the 12-month thing, but like Drew said, they were forced to. Now we were talking about this the other day on the podcast, and we said, what else could they have done? They were between a rock and a hard place. They had to say something. So giving us a 12-month plan gave fans hope. Now, many of us did, even when it wasn't first shown, were like, I don't think they should have done the 12-month thing. So some of us did absolutely say that. I don't know if I can't recall if I did or not. But I appreciated, how they presented everything at the showcase. I am not bothered whatsoever by this delay. I'm going to just be honest with you.
Neither am I.
I don't think many of us have problems with the delay itself.
No.
Yeah.
It's just about the double M's, man. The marketing and the messaging. That's the problem.
Pretty much it's the marketing and the messaging, like you said. And I had this debate back and forth with Risky. We had a space about it and everything. And I was like, you're wrong. I'm right. I bet him on his knees that the game would not make the first half. I collected his knees the other day.
Oh, boy.
And in the most nice, polite manner, And I don't.
Why'd I miss that? Risky on his knees? Wow. Okay.
Wait. Pause.
Big pause.
What are we doing?
Wait a minute. No, but I did it in the most humble way possible. I didn't want to rub it too much into his face because he was catching flack online heavy. He came out there. he's like, oh yeah, Xbox fans got Stockholm syndrome.
I'm looking forward to King David this Sunday on ILP. Boy, it's gonna be prolific. I can't wait. It's gonna be amazing.
I can imagine. But my thing is, and I'm sure 3-Bit, I know Pixel, you guys that worked in development for game and stuff, and all of us who have just played games, you'll always take a delay to get a more perfect game than you would, an early rushed out mess, right? Absolutely. And Starfield is something that's been 25 years in the making now, probably 27 now, I guess, since the delays. And so listen, take your time, Todd. I'm in no rush, and none of us really are. Let's just be real. We got too much to play. I can't even get through half the stuff I got now. So because of that, and because of the fact that I want them to deliver the best possible game, yeah, that's fine. And I had it for late June, and I said September possibly after I started hearing the rumors, and it ended up, but I did say it would be second half, and so it did end up doing that. I'm fine with that. It's only 2 months from my projected, timeline. So that works for me. I think some are taking the news harder than others and being a little dramatic, but I do understand when people point out, hey, right. Yeah.
We took it with pride, man.
Yeah. I'm good with the mantra. That was fun.
Yeah, it was good. It was fun. It was fun. Yeah.
The point of that movement, a lot of people, it was just like, it was out of fun. It was basically a thing with Bethesda. A lot of people were getting mad for some reason that we were putting it for March, so we doubled down. We're like, okay, it's definitely March now.
Now there's the president. Now there's the treasurer. There's
the president. Well, that's what the movement was basically about. It was like more out of fun and almost had a little bit out of spite. Out of you, but
EverbornSaga, how about you take us home? What are your thoughts on all of this? How'd this all shake out for you? Come
on. Listen, at the end of the day, right? Like, 2 games aren't going to make it into the 12-month window. Now, I do want to be clear. At the time, we were all like a chorus, and we all said the 12-month idea is stupid, right? This whole thing could have been avoided if they just said these games are coming 2023.
Yep.
Right? But they didn't want to say that because they knew they had a light year, and the rest of that year was going to be light. So we all said, like, you're saying these games are coming out in the next 12 months, but it doesn't really start for 6 months, right? Because all the games everybody cared about didn't come out until 2023. So really, if they had in the beginning said, this is what we have in store for you for 2023, I don't think anybody would have been like, we wouldn't even be having this discussion. Now, in terms of the actual Starfield not making that date, and again, make no mistake, we can say whatever they were targeting, we can say whatever we want, but when they delayed the game, they said early 2023 when their statement came out. They said they were delaying Starfield
first half,
right. That didn't happen, right? So it is what it is. Now, I think them delaying Starfield was smart, right? Right? What would be stupid, what would be poor management, right, is saying we made an arbitrary date, so now you have to put your game out and stick to
Diablo, and Starfield all literally hitting at the same month.
Right. Yeah. So because for me, this works, right? Because everybody on this panel has jobs, right?
And by the way, I'm just gonna put this on. I'm gonna put this on the screen and just leave it here for a little bit. We'll continue. Go ahead.
So we all have these jobs, right? And we all have things to do. And if you tell me you are gonna play Tears of the Kingdom and Redfall and Final Fantasy 16 and Diablo 4 and then play Starfield, kudos to you. Right? So them getting out of the way of that, to me, it says it respects my time. And I know that's not the reason they did it, but it is the reason I'm cool with it.
Sure.
Right?
Well, what about the M&M, my friend? What about the M&M? The messaging, the marketing, What are your thoughts on it? The fact that, like 3-Bit has said, and you even said this to me before, their timelines are not to be trusted anymore. What isn't that a problem?
I mean, you know, I don't even know if they're gonna hit September. Maybe they will. I hope they do. Right?
You see, that's what I'm saying.
I need to. I said this before. Right? I need to download the game, and when it's on my overpriced SSD stick, right? Then I would believe it's coming out. But until then, we don't know. But again, none of this is a problem. I think whatever, like, you know, words that we're hearing about it, they're deserved. They did this to themselves. They could have said 2023. Nobody asked them to do this 12-month thing. That being said, you know, they did deliver Hi-Fi Rush.
True.
Right? And that wasn't even
that game is fire.
That's my game of the year right now.
Absolutely. I love that game.
And so, you know, we can say what we want. And people are saying, oh, when they start delivering 4 AAAs a year. I'm like, wait a minute. You got Forza, you got Redfall, you got Starfield. You're probably going to have Diablo.
Maybe
right?
Hellblade.
I don't think Hellblade's coming out this year.
Let's not think Minecraft Legends looks fire.
Talk about it. Talk about biggest,
because it is delayed, and now I don't believe Hellblade is coming this year either.
One of the biggest franchises in all of gaming, right? So, you know, Minecraft Legends is coming out. Hi-Fi Rush came out, right? Redfall is about to come out. Starfield is about to come out. Forza is gonna come out, and maybe you'll get something at the end of the year. But even if you don't, they're already over delivering, right? We can talk about how this all started with High on Life, followed by Hi-Fi Rush, and then we can talk about the stuff that is going into Gamepass, right? So I just want to give you a list of what we have this year for Gamepass, right? So Hi-Fi Rush, Atomic Heart, Wolong, Monster Hunter Rise, Minecraft Legends, Redfall, Forza Motorsport, Starfield, Exoprimal, that's the Capcom thing we talked about, City Skylines 2 if you're into that, Lies of P, Valheim, which we just got, right? So, you know, before we say we need consistency in marketing, but I think we're seeing the consistency in actually. Oh no,
and that's what
all those Paradox games too that drop.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
but I think they're related. Like the consistency in marketing and messaging, absolutely. Game delays is fine. We're not saying that. It's just stop writing checks your butt can't cash. Stop doing that.
Well, so hold on a minute, right? Because we can admonish, right? Again, I think Starfield. I'm glad they moved it because I didn't have time to play those games, and I think it's no problem that they moved it 3 months. But what I am talk about it, Loke 7, they over deliver. They're over delivering right now, right? So and I do want us to we have to talk about this, right? Because last year the talk of the whole year was what is going on? Why don't they have plan A, B, and C for when you know, when things don't work out? But we're seeing that right now.
Are you sure?
It's not like you're. Am I sure? 1,000%. I'm sure.
I'll be more on your page when 2024 comes out and there is no drought. That's where I say consistency. Like I hear you on what they're releasing.
Now you're doing this PlayStation fan thing.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
You're moving these goalposts, man. Stop it. I'm not gonna let you do that.
I hear you, dog.
This year so far.
This year's been amazing.
This year,
absolutely,
it's amazing.
Amazing.
So far.
And I said that from jump.
How much is Game Pass again?
Like I said, they released $7,000 worth of games last year, and they're on track to beat that in the first 6 months. Like, no doubt. I'm not denying.
What was your specific complaint last year? Was that if you don't have this game coming out, you need to drop the bag and get big games in Game Pass for when your games aren't there.
I need consistency.
Now they're delivering their games. Some are delayed, but you have the big drops in Game Pass. You have to give credit where credit is due.
Oh, I am. I'm giving the credit. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that they deserve to be dropped.
Right now, today they are delivering. If they don't deliver in 2024 in the second half of this year, then we can talk about that then. But right now, they're consistently delivering.
Sure. Okay, I'll give you that. For sure.
Right.
For sure.
So we can yell at them we can build a time machine, go back to June of last year,
and go yell at them back.
That was a dumb thing you said
Yeah.
for 12 months, but we're here right now. So marketing, yes, they need to get that in order. But game delivery, that problem has been fixed, and we'll see what happens later.
Not just game delivery, but these are quality games.
Yeah, consistent quality games. Yes.
This year.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been hitting them.
And Hargeet Chani in here. Thank you, good sir, for being here, sir. He drops a $5 super chat and says, when ABK completes, besides Diablo, Xbox will also have the next COD, I'm guessing Modern Warfare 3 remake this fall.
Don't let Jim Ryan hear that.
Oh, well, the crying and lying and all of that.
Don't jinx it, Hargeet. Hey, Lo, you see, I'm on K Asante's neck.
Yeah. You do that because I'm usually on his neck on his show, so some consistency needs to be there as well. No, I appreciate y'all being here, but okay, so I will say, to close this out, I hear your points on what they're delivering for Game Pass. I want more first party games
first party
They're
games. Delivering on Game Pass and first party.
I want to see what Starfield looks like, and by and large, let's end on a positive note. Starfield looked interesting. The last time it was a little herky jerky. This time it was 60 frames. It looked pretty consistent. So
animations a little bit improved.
They were there. They looked on point. So I for one am excited to see where this whole thing goes. And the rumor and speculation is that this game will set another benchmark for them. I'm excited to see where that goes.
I'm glad they gave Redfall room to breathe. How about that?
True. Yes, and they're also speaking on Redfall. They are very, very bullish on Redfall. They're sending people out to go play it. There's going to be a lot of conversation about that very soon.
It's a smart move.
Yeah,
it's a smart move. If I could speak on that really quick.
Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah,
is the people who make Redfall and then made Prey and some other game, Dishonored.
Great studio.
Those games tend to you need to play them. They don't always show well. Some people are like, oh, I don't know what this game is. They said the same thing with Dishonored and Prey. It's like those sort of games. It's like a specific DNA to that studio where I feel like you just have to play it to kind of grasp what that game is. And Redfall, I feel like, is the same. So some people I don't really understand what this game is. It's like open world. People are still comparing it to Left 4 Dead, and it's not really that. So
man,
I feel like those people need to go and play it. Honestly.
Not even that, because every time I've seen it, it looks nothing like Red Dead. Never did. Not Red Dead.
Left 4 Dead.
Left 4 Dead. Never looked like Red Dead. Goddamn. Left 4 Dead. It never looked like, right?
Yeah.
Left 4 Dead's key signature point is mobs and it's orchestrated. Those are the key points of that system. You don't see anything like orchestrated mobs being formed. You don't see that in that game. So
credit to that studio. You guys just have to see it when it comes out, I guess.
And I'm a huge Arcane stan. I worship at the altar. I've played all the Arcane games. I think it's unfortunate that they get short shrift when talking about the developers at the high caliber. Their ability to make sandboxes is second to none. You approach anything the way you want to. You go loud, you go stealthy. Everything is rewarded. They are really, really, really good. So I'm excited to see what Redfall brings us as well. Although I hope and pray that their DNA of still being that single player game can still be here, even though
translate
it looks to the multiplayer. Yeah, because I want to be able to play it single player without feeling like I'm losing something. But we'll see how that goes. Let's close this show out because we're already 3 hours and 19 minutes in. I knew there was going to be an all-star panel, and it absolutely was. And we had a lot of conversation. We were actually able to get almost all of it in here. Go ahead, Everborn.
Pause.
What do you call it? So listen, this is something I want to start incorporating into the show before we log off. I want you guys. I want to explain what the new talking point of the week is going to be.
Oh, okay. Yes.
This is going to be the narrative this week. Is that the Xbox-centric game journalists are set to monetarily profit from the acquisition so they're doing disingenuous reporting. Do you see the irony in this kind of a narrative?
Of course, because we
right?
spent how many weeks now dealing with this? Yeah,
that's right. So this is the new thing you're gonna hear. You're gonna hear everybody run with this new thing that we're talking about faulty reporting and fanboys posing as journalists that are doing disingenuous reporting.
I'm sorry. What outlet is a Xbox centric media outlet? I'm just.
They're trying to point out Windows Central and YouTubers. This is what they're talking
Windows
about.
Central. Okay, so because they're not following the Repop line, is that what we're doing?
The Repop cartel, as it's called.
Not part of the Repop cartel. So
y'all just gonna like bookend this whole show with slander. You start with the slander, you're gonna end with the slander. Like, damn, okay. Calling out names and all of that. All right. I'm there for it, gentlemen. Yes. Hey, man,
But listen, that's what they'll be talking about this week. And like clockwork, you're going to see a bunch of people parrot these things. So do with that information what you will.
I, for one, trust our journalistic overlords.
Says Mr. Epic Unreal. I want to see the size of them checks there, homie. I want to see the size of them checks.
They better be giving you something.
This is the threat to our democracy.
That's right.
Yeah, I trust our media overlords.
Oh, man. But all right, so it was a wonderful show with so many opinions, and I'm here for it. I appreciate you gentlemen joining us for this show. I mean, we've hit higher heights than we ever did. I think, what was it? 190 people in
192,
total.
I think.
190, like that is...
And the likes actually match that.
There you go.
Which is wild.
There you go.
Wow.
Absolutely
Very
wild.
nice.
Yes.
Everybody did their job. You all did your homework. I'm very proud of every single one of you.
We have made it so much so that I think I even saw some extremist ponies in here, which is hey, we've made it, baby.
You have gotten yourself the barn has shown up.
You have excelled because usually it's the sex bots. Now you've moved up to our Hoove brothers.
To the Hoove brothers. That's right. Well. Yeah. To those who are in here being a little bit too slanderous on a nice Saturday morning, you know that the man, Mr. T's in there. I'm just saying he's gonna chop you up, and when he does, I'm just gonna put you on the Summer Jam screen and be happy about it. It is what it is. We're just gonna let him cut you down if you go too far. But yes, so far everybody's been very 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 cool and very cordial. I appreciate y'all. A lot of great people in the chat still. Thank you guys so much for being here. I will end it first by giving the outro to Mr. 3-Bit, who really, really showed out, came on the show, really, really put it out there. We appreciate you so much for being here. Hopefully we can get you back next time. Tell the people where they can find you. I know you're podcasting more now. Where can we keep up with all your ongoings this week?
For sure. Trying to podcast more. There was a break when I was doing a lot of game development for these different studios, and then I was like missing it quite a bit, so I'm trying to do a lot more. You guys could find me on Twitter at i3bit. I'm on usually this fun speculation. I've been bought out exclusively by him, it feels like. So you can see me on most of Mavs. Yep, FSP, Xbox Ultimate, I pop up. Then I have my own show on Wednesdays where I kind of go into gaming topics, and then at the end I usually try and talk about game development stuff. So last time I talked about how to animate certain things in video games. I'm an animator, so that's where more of my background is. But yeah, that's pretty much where you guys can find me. Appreciate being on the show with you guys. It's always a pleasure. Love the conversation. Everybody in chat, you're awesome. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's great having you here, and please continue showing the development side of it. It's always great. Love watching that stuff. I think more people should jump into that. I think Everborn, you and I have even spoken about there should be more of that, the dissemination of that information in the
I've been
community.
meaning to do some of that stuff on the Everborn channel. I gotta get up to date.
Yeah, man.
Hey, do you do 3D animation or you like spine kind of stuff?
3D animation, Maya. Like right now, to explain my job, what it is now, because I moved a little bit away from game development. Now I'm more into commercials. So I am the sole animator for the Affleck Duck, right? So I'm animating.
In a previous life, I sold Affleck insurance for like 3 months. and then I was like, I got to get my life together. But that's very interesting.
Mostly 3. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Mr. Pixelbit G, you out here, you sniping fools left and right. They definitely deserve it when you do so. I see you on them Twitter streets also laying folks flat. What are you going to be doing this week, sir? How are we keeping up with you?
Well, if they're going to be talking nonsense on Twitter this week, then I'm going to be on eating it up on them, probably. But yeah, I mean, you can find me on Twitter, PixelBitG, Infinite with too many freaking numbers. But yeah, I mean, that's generally where you find me, and maybe with some other podcasts at some point. But as always, it is a pleasure joining you guys on here. Nice to finally speak with you, 3-Bit and Infinite Umbra. I mean, great show, guys. I mean, really appreciate the conversation. And shout out to my boy Ham. I see him out here.
Yeah, man.
I see you. I have not been messy, sir. I've been cleaning up the mess. All right, y'all.
Shout out to Ham Solo, Loke7, all the great folks in here. I see you there, Fuzzy Belvedere. We there may be some other things where you're going to see Fuzzy on our air very soon. But before we go, last and certainly not least of our guests, Mr. Infinite Umbra. It is great to have you here, sir. I know the fix is coming soon. Actually, I don't know if you know this or not, but your co-host will be our guest next week. So Daniel McGee will be in the spot next week.
Well, don't that about beat all.
So tell us where we can find you and all the stuff you're doing online this week.
Well, of course, you all can find me on Twitter, Infinite Umbra or Umbra Infinite. You'll find me either way. You'll find me Tuesdays on Xbox Factor with Boom and Cast at 12 o'clock Eastern. And the Xbox Infinite podcast, which I argue I created, even though I didn't, at 7 o'clock Eastern. And of course, like our illustrious host pointed out, I have the fix in the works, and I should have that launching maybe if not the end of this month, then next month. I have most of it taken care of. I just have a few things I want to get nailed down and taken care of before I go live. And I would appreciate you guys coming by to subscribe. I mean, you can subscribe to me now if you wanted to the channel. And come and support a brother when you can. Thank you guys for having me. If you all didn't know in the chat, by the way, Kay Asante Everborn, they both brought me on, and Kay, he reached out to me. We talked in spaces and stuff like that. And he was like, "Hey man, you want to come through and speak on a podcast?" And now I had the butterflies all popping in the stomach, and like, what? For real though?
And now look at him, huh?
Yeah,
he hasn't released a single episode on his YouTube channel, and already he's almost at 1,000 subscribers. How do you do that? Explain that to me.
It's Matt.
Genius, baby.
In magic?
Absolutely, bro.
It's a testament though to you guys like yourself and Boom that you all will reach out to the community, which I love so much, to reach out and then bring us up here to speak and talk gaming with you guys. So I appreciate you fellas for that, honestly. And two supremely intelligent black men. I don't think it gets enough love as it should. I just appreciate you fellas.
Oh, so you mean I'm not one fish, two fish?
I knew he was going to say it.
and I swear, I wish I could clip it and add it to the show. If you have not seen Infinite Umbra doing his EverbornSaga impression, man, it is noteworthy. I'm just saying, it is magical. You have to see that. Man, he's so good at that. But we won't put him out too badly right now. Maybe we'll clip it and put it on you on the Twitters. Follow us and you'll see that. But yes, that was pretty brilliant. That was pretty brilliant. But EverbornSaga, sir, another successful show. All folks brought it really, really well. I think so. And as usual, we didn't. And unlike most weeks, this did not become the ABK show. We had a lot more to talk about. I'm looking forward to the day when that is more prominent and less ABK-ness. What do you think, sir? How are you doing? And where can people keep up with your ongoings this week?
Well, in terms of not keeping up with traditions, we're gonna need Microsoft to move on Sega because we have to.
Oh, here we go. We needed to mention that at least
Pixel
once.
did mention it, but
yes,
we gotta.
Yes.
We need some Sega apologizing.
JMO Money was
Sonic
going to start a drinking game.
Let's
Every time you say Sega, go ahead.
So lots going on, but you can find, just type EverbornSaga in the internet. I'll come up everywhere. But I do want to recommend, if you have not done so already, there's a lot of people still in here, please go to EverbornSaga.com and check out the books that we produce. We're creating a connected universe, and there's comics. We're working on a novel. We're working on games right now. Just check it out. You can see some of the game if you go there, and you can see the comics that we have going on. You got them on the screen now. Go to EverbornSaga.com. You can get all the books that we produce together in a bundle, only $50 until while supplies last, as they say. And 3-Bit, I got to talk to you about some stuff. I knew you're a developer. I didn't know you did animation. Maybe there's something you might be interested in that we could do something. But yes, Everborn Saga everywhere, and that's it, man. And watch out for the narratives.
And when those narratives come true, remember where you heard that. I'm just saying. But yes, thank you guys so much for being here. Our chat was absolutely lively. They kept it very respectful. Everybody was cool. Great conversations. It has been a long episode. I'm hoping that maybe Living Split Screen is still going, so you guys can head over there and let them know we sent you. We appreciate all y'all for being here so much. Yes, you know, they keep the Saturday conversations lively and keep it moving. So head over there, subscribe to their channel. They should hit 1,000 subscribers soon, and with your help, they can definitely do that. So go ahead and do that. But we will see you guys next week. We appreciate all of you guys for being here, and until then, keep it gaming, ladies and gentlemen.